everybody, it's Molly. I figured I would just kind of give a little bit of background on me.
It was pitch black that night. It was very dark. Looks like it is Molly Watson. So.
Is it Molly Watson? Okay.
When her body was found, they were planning a wedding, and that wedding was less than 48 hours away.
Never would have thought that I would have been going to her funeral that next week instead of her wedding. Never would have thought it.
Molly Watson come in the door and she said, I'm here to get a marriage license. A lot of things happened after that. I don't want to cry.
She was about to get married, but she also had several serious relationships before that, and so had her fiance. And somebody was living a double life with a lot of secrets.
Investigators go to deliver what they believe is going to be shocking news. The shocking news was going to be delivered to them.
And I'll see you guys later.
April 27th of 2018. It was a Friday night.
So that night, me and my daughter come down through here. We figured we'd take the shortcut through.
Glenn McSparron is taking a shortcut from his mother's home there in Monroe County.
Didn't really think nothing of it, just a typical night.
County Road 930.
It's a gravel road. There's trees pretty much on both sides, pretty grown up around the roadway that leads back to a low water crossing. It's an area where the roadway will actually go through a creek.
Very desolate, especially at that time of the year.
As he's going along the road, he sees this car pulled over on the side of the road.
I come up on the creek. You got to turn as you go down into it and go across it because the road kind of curves. My headlights came over onto the body in front of the car, and I had to stop out in the middle of the creek, like right about here.
He finds a dead woman.
When I seen her, I swear my heart stopped. I just kind of got a little frantic, I think. I could tell she wasn't moving.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
I am at the end of Route M of 151, and there's a woman laying on the ground in front of a car.
I stayed in my truck, and I called 911.
I don't know what the hell's going on here.
All right, sir, would you mind if you would get out of your vehicle and check on her?
Yes, sir, I will.
It was just kind of a freaky situation. The whole time I'm standing there, I'm waiting on somebody to come out of the darkness. I had no flashlight that had batteries that was charged. I had my truck running behind me, so I couldn't hear nothing. I'm just, scared, like, when's somebody gonna come out of the woods?
You need to get the ambulance out here. But there's a lady laying in front of a car. I don't know if she's alive, dead, or what.
They wanted me to just make sure if she was alive or not.
You can check on her and give me an update. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Finally, they got me out of the truck, and I grabbed my handgun and walked through the water, and I just kept on the phone with them.
Ma'am. Ma'am. Oh, my God. I don't think she's alive, no.
I seen if she was cold to the touch or if she had a pulse, and she did not. And I looked in her eyes, and I could tell that she was gone.
Her eyes are open. I swear to God, she's dead.
This case takes place in the American heartland. It's the northeastern section of the state of Missouri, Monroe County, and neighboring Randolph County. Bucolic agricultural community.
Not a whole lot of industry. The prison is one of the biggest employers. That is the Amish. There are kind of two big areas of Amish that are in northeast Missouri.
Just farm ground. I mean, there's dairy cows, there's beef cows, there's mainly, for the most part, just farming.
There's probably more animals than there are people in that county.
It's most well known for being the birthplace of Mark Twain, and he wrote a lot of his stories about this idyllic kind of landscape here in Monroe County.
Back at the crime scene, investigators are trying to identify this victim.
Where my patrol car is in the general vicinity of where we found the victim's car when we arrived on scene. Outside of the driver's door, there were what appeared to be blood on the ground, and then there were some drag marks in the gravel, and ultimately we found a deceased female in front of the vehicle.
She's wearing pajama pants or sweatpants, as well as a tank top.
123.
Well, it was very obvious within the first few minutes to me that there was foul play involved.
She was essentially shot execution style. She had been shot once in the back of the head at point-blank range.
Some investigation was done as to ascertain the identity of the victim.
The weight didn't match on the DOR thing was the only thing I thought.
We initially run the vehicle registration, things of that nature.
Looks like it is Molly Watson. So.
Is it Molly Watson? Okay.
We were eventually able to figure out that the victim was Molly Watson.
Police wake up the family in the middle of the night with some pretty bad news.
My wife woke me up, said, "Your dad's on the phone. He doesn't sound good. Something happened." I'll never forget my dad. He said, "Timmy," he said, "the highway patrol just left our house." I was like, "What happened?" He said, "They found Molly dead in the road." I was like, "What?"
Sandy called me at 2 o'clock in the morning and said that the police had just been to their house and told them that Molly had been shot.
I think she kept screaming, "Molly's dead," didn't she?
Yeah. Knowing that Molly was dead was a big shock.
As you can see, I was preparing to work on my next costume when I decided to do this vlog.
She wanted to be a singer for a long time, and she had a really good singing voice.
I am going to sing the healing incantation from Tangled. Flower, gleam and glow, let your power shine.
She was one of the luckiest people I've ever known. Like whenever we would walk by like a pop machine, she would always like push the buttons, and I don't know how it would happen, but like a pop would come out. That's what's hard, I think, for me, knowing how she passed. And one of the most unluckiest ways possible.
Is it Molly Watson? Okay. Do you know how old she is now?
Police want to know what brought Molly to this dark, desolate place, and even more puzzling, who'd have a reason to kill her?
And I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Molly Watson's body was found
Wearing her engagement ring
on her left ring finger.
when she was shot to death.
Her marriage certificate was located in her car.
That had her name in there as well as her fiance's name.
They were planning a wedding.
Wedding of her dreams.
That wedding was less than 48 hours away.
The murder of Molly Watson sends a shudder through her community in rural Missouri. Everyone is asking why. The life she led didn't seem to be one that would end in violence.
Molly had been married in her early 20s, but just after a few years, that marriage ended in divorce. But during the breakup, she was pregnant and had a son.
He ended up having cerebral palsy, so he was unable to walk, but smart as could be.
She loved Declan. She would take him to the zoo, you know, she would take him about anywhere with her. That was just her world right there. And then she met Amber, who she started a relationship with.
This is just a photo album that we had put together, Molly and I had with Declan. My name is Amber Brady. Molly Watson and I were in a relationship for about 5 years. That's Molly that Declan's laying on, and I'm right behind Molly, and we're all just kind of napping on the couch. We actually met in kindergarten. We went to kindergarten together. We did not like each other whatsoever. I thought she was a weird little person, and she thought I was obnoxious.
Amber and Molly lost touch for a long time, but years later, the kindergarten adversaries crossed paths again.
We actually ran into each other downtown Moberly one day, and she's like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so it just kind of kicked off from there. We actually grew a friendship there, and then things just got closer.
They find they like the grown-up version of each other much more.
She was just bouncy and bubbly all the time. I mean, anything would make her smile, the simplest things.
And they fall in love.
She was actually my first girlfriend. I was her. She was married at the time. I was too. But things weren't going well for either one of us.
Molly and Amber move in together, and when Molly's son is born, they're a little family.
We could talk. We could communicate. We liked doing a lot of the same things. It just seemed to click.
But then Molly gets a new job.
She decided to go and apply at the prison, and that's where she was going to work. Mobile Area Correctional Center. She was a corrections officer 1. She was down in the wings that she had to do counts, search the cell, break up fights.
Molly meets somebody new at the prison. Not an inmate, but a lieutenant named James Addy.
I thought we were doing fine, but I guess they grew close.
Amber says she caught Molly and James at a motel.
And I went up there and knocked on the door. She answered. James Addy was getting dressed and leaving. That wasn't good.
Amber says there was another encounter at a gas station.
He gets out of the car, and he started to say something. I didn't give him the option. I told him, I said, you need to shut up. I said, you broke up our family.
At this point, she moved back into my mom and dad's house.
Amber says she's heartbroken, but Molly apparently is head over heels for James Addy.
I didn't have any friendship or anything to do with Molly. She had blocked me on everything, which that was fine. I mean, it wasn't a good breakup.
Molly was absolutely 100% in love with him. She would have walked the end of the earth for him.
It seemed like a pretty nice relationship. Smiling photos of them on trips together, a happy couple.
There was definitely an age gap there. At first, you know, it was weird for us, but, you know, everybody kind of got past it.
Growing up, Jim, far back as I can remember, he was always a good brother. He was a role model and example. He was in the Marine Corps, and then from the Marine Corps, he got out after Desert Storm and just created a life.
This guy is a proud veteran of the United States Marines. He was even born on the 4th of July. He's got 2 kids. He's worked as a mechanic, he's worked in a factory, and had gotten a job at the local prison where he was liked so much he reached the level of lieutenant.
James Addy does have some history. He's been married 4 times. He has so many ex-wives that apparently some of his own family members say they can't keep track of everyone's names.
I loved Melanie. She was always nice, always kind, funny. It was just Melanie. The type of women that Jim liked were very, very nice, very kind.
But now it's James and Molly.
And they really did seem to love each other. I mean, according to Jim, it was a relationship unlike anything he'd had before. Something that he said of mutual respect between the two, that they could share anything with each other. It's something any of us would love to have in a relationship with another person.
After 7 years of having this relationship with James, well, she surprises her family. She suddenly announces, I'm engaged.
And it was just kind of all of a sudden, boom, let's get married now.
She was all about him. Her family even described it. This was what she's always been looking for. She was happier than she's ever been. She was ready for the wedding.
Oh, constant. We always heard about the wedding. We were very excited about the wedding. You know, the colors, the theme, the decorations.
There's a lot of burgundy and gold. Kind of reminded me of like a Renaissance kind of themed wedding. From Molly's perspective, it was gonna be a beautiful wedding and the best day ever.
You were booked for her makeup and hair 3 years ago.
Yes.
What did you know about Molly and the wedding and her fiance?
I remember meeting her. She was so excited. She wanted a Disney themed, and we had been working on a wedding that was Beauty and the Beast. And so we were like, we're very familiar with like doing this very like, you know, Disney themed wedding.
This dress, as you will see with it on me, I show it with me wearing one ball gown crinoline.
She was very excited. Well, she had how many dresses?
2.
2 dresses, yeah.
2 dresses. She could not make up her mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Molly wanted to do, was have a perfect wedding.
She was so excited.
Very excited because it had taken a while to get to that point, I guess, of them being married.
What did you make of Molly as a bride-to-be?
She was really sweet. I loved working with her.
A very wonderful wedding had been planned at the Stony Creek Inn. Molly had invited her family here to come to this event.
I got mine, sent my RSVP back.
The couple times that I met her, she always had a smile on her face. She was bubbly, she was happy, she enjoyed talking about her wedding. James was kind of the opposite of Molly. He was very quiet, didn't show much enthusiasm. I just thought he was just a groom along for the ride.
Is James looking to back out of the wedding? You see, in their text messages, Molly appears to be worried about that.
Are you still sure you want to marry me with my anxiety?
Before her life was cut short on that backcountry road, Molly was over the moon about her upcoming wedding to James Addy, but her family wasn't so sure.
I asked her, you know, what does your family think about him? And she was really kind of hesitant, and she said, you know, my family doesn't really like him. They've only met him a few times.
He pulled in one day and Sandy was in the kitchen and she says, "Come here, come here." So we're standing in the kitchen looking out the window and I went, "Him? She likes him?" And she said, "Yeah."
Even though Molly and James have been together for 7 years, they don't really know this guy. Molly's brother even says he doesn't know James's last name.
He could never look you in the eye. He could never talk to you directly. Everything was very evasive with him. He put off bad vibes to everybody.
He was like a ghost that would come in and go out, but Molly was protective. It was her business.
Now Molly is finally getting married again, but some of her closest relatives send their regrets. They're not coming.
That was my last message to Molly. I'm not gonna be able to go. My kids have a softball and baseball tournament that weekend. I said, but you know how I feel about weddings and funerals. I kind of have a thing anyway that I just kind of avoid weddings and funerals.
Molly finally had convinced me. She sent me a text message the night before she was murdered. It's actually the last one I got from her. It said, you have to be there. It won't be the same without you. And that kind of got to me. So I told her, I was like, okay, I'll do it for you.
Never would have thought that I would have been going to her funeral that next week instead of her wedding. Never would have thought it.
Late 2017, early 2018, James Addy and Molly Watson began planning a wedding, going to the recorder's office, getting a marriage license.
This one here is on the date of April 25th, 2018. James Aaron Addy, 51, to Molly Nicole Watson, 35. I'm Mark Price. I'm the Randolph County Recorder of Deeds in the county of Randolph in the state of Missouri.
As the county recorder, he was responsible for recording deeds, as well as recording marriage licenses. And he performed that ritual for James Addy and Molly Watson on April 25th, 2 days before her murder.
Security camera video actually shows Molly walking across the parking lot and coming into the building.
The cameras I got in the back of my office for security filmed all that.
Even on security cameras, Molly's bubbly personality is pretty obvious. She's smiling and laughing there, chatting with the guard. And you notice her phone? Apparently she always kept that close.
Molly Watson come in the door just shortly before 4 o'clock, and she said, "I'm here to get a marriage license." and she was quite pleasant to talk to. We had a good time.
And you can see James there in his uniform, showing up late, hurrying inside.
And then Mr. Addy walked in the door, and he was not smiling. He was acting like this was not the place he wanted to be in. She reached right over to him and was touching his arm and stuff, and she would pat him on the back, and she would lean into him a little bit. He seemed perturbed with some of the things that I was asking him, like if he'd been married before and how it ended. He was just like, why do you need to know that?
Maybe Addy just didn't like admitting he'd already been married 4 times before. Or maybe he just didn't like the questions about his marriage to Melanie Addy, which he tells the recorder had ended in divorce 6 months earlier.
The couple leaves the recorder's office holding hands.
That's just tough. It really is, because she was a sweet girl. A lot of things happened after that. I don't want to cry.
Judging by their text messages, it appears Molly Watson, the soon-to-be 5th wife of James Addy, is beginning to question just how committed this guy really is.
Are you still sure you want to marry me with my anxiety?
Just days before the wedding, Molly is expressing real concern that James is getting cold feet.
Yes, dear. Why would you ask something like that?
Because when you were talking earlier, you sounded like you were starting to doubt your decision.
Not even close, dear.
James is trying his best to reassure Molly that he is all in.
Are you changing your mind?
Not at all.
Then what?
It worries me that you were changing yours.
I wasn't.
Good.
If you read the cards that James sent, this sounds like a man in love telling Molly, "You are truly the love of my life now and forever. You are my everything. I love you. I adore you." This does not sound like a guy who's nervous about getting married.
As Molly's building and getting ready for the wedding and the excitement is starting to take over, there's some horrible news.
James tells Molly his ex-wife, Melanie, has just died.
His ex-wife / mother of his kids was in a car accident over the holidays. And she had just passed away from the injuries.
Molly was told by Jim that she was on life support for a bit, and eventually we had to pull the plug on her. We had to let her go.
This is such tragic news. And of course, it could not have happened at a worse time, just as Molly is putting the final touches on her day, her wedding day. Boom, this happens, everything is thrown into chaos.
Bride-to-be Molly Watson has her wedding to James Addy all arranged. She booked the location, she bought the centerpieces, she even hired hair and makeup. But you know what they say about best laid plans?
The big day is right around the corner, but there are so many hitches in the wedding plans.
The plan was that she had a stepdaughter who she was planning to do hair and makeup on. Then she said that, but I'll let you know when we get closer to the time because she's not sure if she really wants to be in the wedding.
Hi, Crystal. This is Molly Watson. The work's just been kind of crazy trying to get ready for the wedding.
There's some last-minute changes. James and Molly cut their guest list in half, and Molly leaves a voicemail saying James's daughter Emma won't be in the wedding party after all.
I did also want to let you know that it is just going to be me getting hair and makeup done. My soon-to-be stepdaughter has decided she and a friend are going to do each other's hair and makeup, and so we're just going to go that route.
We're like, oh, yeah, no big deal. So I didn't really think anything of it.
James had told Molly, who told me, that his ex-wife was involved in December in a really bad car wreck and that she was on life support. And they didn't think she was going to make it.
With every wedding, we do a final walkthrough and detailing meeting. However, when I was reaching out to Molly to try to get that meeting scheduled, she had mentioned that James's ex-wife had passed away from a car accident over the holidays.
And a couple of weeks before Molly's death, she had actually told me that they had went in and pulled the plug on her and she passed away.
Now this is April we're talking, and she had just passed away from the injuries. So he had to go and do funeral stuff with his kids when we were trying to meet.
On the day that Molly Watson was murdered, James Addy had dropped off centerpieces or decorations for the wedding planner and had made a payment on the wedding.
He seemed just like he did in every other meeting that I met him. So this was probably the second or third time I've met him in person. Again, really quiet, didn't say much. He brought in the decor, and me being a bubbly event coordinator trying to get people amped for their big day, I'm being enthusiastic. And I do recall as I was walking him out the door, I asked if he's getting excited, and his one comment was that she was driving him crazy.
Mr. Addy made a statement that Molly Watson was driving him crazy.
Deputies say they found a woman's body in the area of Highway 151 and Route M Friday night.
I was at home watching TV, and their pictures come up on the screen and that she was dead.
It has been identified as 35-year-old Molly Watson from Huntsville.
And I went, oh my gosh, and I hollered at my wife. I said, Carla, I think I was the one that sold them the marriage license just earlier this week.
The investigation is sort of launched throughout that night with the Missouri Highway Patrol going out there, looking at this.
Now police get their first big break in this investigation. And that's thanks to the guy in the pickup truck, Glenn McSparren.
It was pitch black that night. It was very dark.
Glenn McSparren was taking a shortcut that night to and from his mother's home and discovered Molly's body on the way back from his mother's.
However, we also found out that that was not the first time he had been through the water crossing that night.
About 30 minutes before he discovers the body of Molly Watson, he's driving down this same desolate dirt road in Monroe County, Missouri.
Earlier in the night, he was taking his daughter over to his mother's home and actually encountered that scene from the opposite direction.
And he saw a car come up and kind of cut him off, put their headlights right into his view.
I started to see that there was lights down here. And once I got a little bit closer, I could see that there was a car, and I thought that they wanted past me, so I pulled over to the side of the road. Then I could see another car parked over on the right, facing away from me.
At first I thought somebody was stuck because like the car with the lights on facing us, it looked almost like it was spinning and like the front end was kind of sliding back and forth.
He said he saw a short white guy driving the car.
An older white male in a big grandma car.
Glenn McSparren described the car with the older white man as an old grandma car.
Then all of a sudden he pulled up down closer to us. I rolled my window down just a little bit and I stuck my head over next to it, and right about then the guy got out and come to the end of his door. And I couldn't hardly see him because of all the glare. And I just kind of turned my head towards the window and I said, hey, is somebody stuck down there? And how did he say that? He said, I don't know where they're at. It's going to be a while.
Glenn McSparren had a brief verbal exchange with this older white male, and the other individual indicated that Glenn needed to go around a different way.
So I just backed my truck up a little bit and went back to the west. The more I thought about it, I was like, something's not right. And I talked to my mom and my brother for a minute, and I told them, I said, I'm gonna go back through there.
And that's when he finds Molly Watson at the scene dead. Calls the police.
In the hours after finding Molly, police searching in the dark find her purse and her other belongings. But they soon realized that something very important is missing from this crime scene. Something that really should be there.
We all know that technology plays a big part of solving murder cases now. But at this point, police in this case don't have Molly's cell phone.
Molly Watson's cell phone was not found at the scene of her murder.
Investigators will set out to find Molly's phone. Before the sun comes up, another important discovery comes to light.
This discovery is pretty amazing. I mean, the deputy was not out searching for evidence. He was driving back to the crime scene in the dark. He's got the good sense to pick it up, and boy, is it going to turn out to be important.
The crime scene is in the middle of nowhere in Monroe County, Missouri.
It's remote. I mean, it's really grown up. You're driving in between trees and horseweeds down to the creek.
So this is a low water crossing. You can kind of see the roadway on the other side.
It is an unpaved gravel road.
It's a low water crossing, so it's muddy at points.
At this muddy crime scene, right where that witness says he saw a man driving what he called a grandma car, investigators find remarkably well-preserved tire tracks.
There were tire impressions which were along the edge of the road.
There was an embankment, and there appeared to be markings that looked like two O's.
What appeared to be lettering from the sidewall of the tire. There were what appeared to be double O's. I think everybody looking thought that it was probably a Goodyear tire.
They also located a tire print just feet from Molly's body. The Missouri State Highway Patrol created a cast of a tire print in the mud near Molly's body. They did that with the hopes that in the future they'd be able to compare it to other tires.
And they take some of this evidence from the tire track in the mud in order to analyze this tire track. Could we match what we found here to any particular tire?
Authorities are working hard to try to figure out who in the world would have a reason to want to end the life of this friendly, happy young woman.
When they searched Molly Watson's belongings in her car, they did locate cash still in her purse.
She was wearing what appeared to be a diamond solitaire engagement ring on her left hand,
indicating that the motive might not have been robbery.
So if it's not robbery, what is the motive? Could Molly herself have left a clue on Facebook?
In a Facebook post that happened about a year before her death, Molly complains about an ex, but she doesn't say who it is. She says they were trying to access her bank accounts.
Let me read the post to you. I suspect it was the unstable individual who attempted to intimidate me with their service weapon by pointing it at me and threatening me when I left the relationship.
I have no idea who had threatened her. I had never, ever, ever threatened her.
Amber denies meddling with any of Molly's bank accounts. And keep in mind, she wasn't Molly's only ex. James and Molly had an on-again, off-again relationship. There were other people in the picture as well.
This is definitely not normal. This is not something we get in Monroe County very often. Murders, we don't get very often.
Brandon Osborne was a sheriff's deputy with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office at the time that Molly Watson's body was found.
He needed to return to the sheriff's office quickly.
On his way back to the crime scene, Brandon Osborne located a t-shirt in the middle of Route M.
I came upon this shirt laying in the road, went around the shirt and past it, and then I stopped and I'm thinking, we're kind of close to the crime scene here. I probably better pick that up just in case.
This discovery is pretty amazing. I mean, the deputy was not out searching for evidence. He was driving back to the crime scene in the dark. He spots the t-shirt, he's got the good sense to pick it up, and boy, is it going to turn out to be important.
That t-shirt, we later learned, had gunshot residue on it, had Molly Watson's blood.
We can infer that that was at the scene at some point of Molly Watson's murder, given the presence of that gunshot residue and her blood on the t-shirt.
It turned out to be a very important piece of evidence.
Meantime, there's an autopsy.
It revealed that Molly Watson died of a single gunshot wound to the back of the head, that the trigger was pulled when the gun was flush against Molly's head, and that it was a small caliber weapon that was used to kill her.
The medical examiner is able to extract a bullet from the body of Molly. The problem is this bullet is crushed beyond recognition. That's not what police want to hear when they're building a case against a suspect.
Prosecutors were not able to identify a murder weapon because the bullet that they found was too damaged to be able to match it up with any particular firearm.
All we can say about the projectile is that it would be consistent with a small caliber ammunition.
A .22 would be considered a small caliber firearm, along with several other calibers.
Investigators are searching, and on a road leading away from the scene, County Road M, they find evidence.
Along Route M, there were a couple of items of evidence that were located, including an ammunition box.
It was an empty .22 caliber ammunition box.
The investigators are gathering that evidence to examine later, but right now in the middle of the night, there's something they've got to do right away. They've got to break the bad news to Molly's fiancé, James Addy.
At that point, wanted to make a notification to him that there'd been an incident involving Molly.
The Highway Patrol trooper does one of the more unfortunate parts of a law enforcement officer's job, to go notify somebody that their loved one is dead.
So they went to his house that evening.
They're expecting that he's going to be devastated, that they found the body of his fiancée.
What they didn't realize is that the shocking news that was going to be delivered to them would change this investigation immediately.
A bright light is about to illuminate the secret life of James Addy. What has he been hiding?
This is an unbelievable story. This is a story about a double life.
Those lives were set on a collision course when he and Molly Watson began planning a wedding.
Molly apparently is head over heels for James Addy.
She was all about him. This was what she's always been looking for.
He had told Molly that his wife died in a terrible accident.
2 days before this long-awaited marriage,
oh my God,
Molly's found murdered.
It's just built and built and built.
And somebody was living with a lot of secrets. A man driving along a back road in rural Missouri makes a stunning discovery. The body of a woman. So he calls the police.
Is it Molly Watson? Okay.
The investigators working this crime scene discover that the victim, Molly Watson, has a fiancé. His name is James Addy.
He was supposed to marry Molly in like 2 days.
The Highway Patrol trooper does a sort of unfortunate part of a law enforcement officer's job, to go notify somebody that their loved one is dead.
So Sheriff Colston, along with a couple of members of the Missouri State Highway Patrol, went from the crime scene to James Addy's home.
Molly Watson was basically murdered at the midway point between James Addy's home and her home.
So they go to his house outside of Mexico, Missouri, which is, let's say, 25 miles away.
It's very late, the point that we're getting to his house, right around 2 in the morning. Went to knock on the door.
And that door was answered by James Addy. He's wearing a bathrobe.
As investigators go to deliver what they believe is going to be shocking news to James Addy, they had no idea that the shocking news was going to be delivered to them.
While the trooper is there in the home, he makes a startling discovery. There's another woman in James Addy's house. She asked the trooper, "What are you doing here?" And I imagine the trooper probably felt much of the same thing. What are you doing here?
The answer's not just a complete surprise, it's a shock. It turns out the woman who was there is James Addy's wife, Melanie Addy. She had not only been married to James for more than 20 years, but she's the mom of their 2 children, including a teenage girl named Emma, who is upstairs, asleep in her own bed.
Now, this is a stunning moment, since Addy had told Molly his ex-wife was dead.
We definitely were not expecting for there to be a wife present.
She's his wife? The guy's living a complete double life. What is going on here?
It was kind of like he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He was realizing that I've already been married for years. I have 2 kids with this woman, but I also have this whole other life. He knew that in 2 days, all of that was going to collide.
This is a huge predicament for him. How do you keep both of these lives going?
Molly knew he was married. He had told her, and she told me all this. She's like, he has a wife, he plans on leaving her once their daughter graduates high school.
Why would you ask someone to marry you if you're already married?
Right.
You know, just continue on the way you were.
Turns out Melanie Addy is James Addy's 4th wife, so that would mean Molly would have been his 5th marriage. But it's really unclear how those previous marriages ended.
We tried to find those previous ex-wives, but no one we interviewed for this story knew any details.
The wife, she denies any knowledge of the affair. I don't think that she knew.
I guess Melanie asked who Molly Watson was, and he had to confess, yeah, it's my lover.
James Addy was interviewed apart from the other members of the home.
He admits that he was cheating on Melanie with Molly, and that, yes, they had been engaged to be married.
He admits early on that he had done something he should have in terms of an affair. He never said he killed anyone.
Mr. Addy became visibly hot and uncomfortable during that interview. So hot and uncomfortable that he actually walked over to his window, opened it, and put a box fan there to blow the cool air in.
At first, Addy offers up an explanation of what he had been doing that night.
James Addy said he was going to see a friend that night at 7 o'clock.
He says that he was going to pick up an avocado plant. He says that he got back home around 8:30 that night.
But Addy also admits something else to police. He tells them that he had been talking to Molly earlier that night using a phone that he kept hidden from his wife.
There was essentially a secret phone or a private phone that he only used to communicate with Molly Watson.
It was a purple cell phone that he went out and grabbed and gave it to investigators, said this is what I used to communicate, and boy did he communicate.
James Addy admits to talking to Molly Watson every single day and volunteered that the last time he had spoken with Molly Watson was earlier in that evening, and showed the police a screenshot of a 22-minute phone call from her to him.
He did not indicate that she was driving or what she was doing during the period of that phone call.
James Addy texted Molly Watson after she was dead. These texts were like maybe a caring fiance would send.
What did you eat for supper? I love you so much.
And finally, when he has no response, he says something like, "Night, night, sweetheart, I'll talk to you tomorrow."
For police, everything has changed since that very first moment that they walked into the Addy's house. This man has a wife. He was sweating in the interview. He's got phone and text messages that seem ever so suspicious. So for police, there's plenty. What do? They arrest him. They charge him with first-degree murder.
Now the trick is building a case.
You doing all right, sir? Okay.
Not really.
I got a call from our sister Heather, and she told me Jim's been arrested for murder. And I'm like, no, I didn't believe it. There hasn't been a moment yet that I have thought that Jim killed Molly.
And what did Melanie, James Addy's wife, think? I couldn't believe what she had to say about this incredible double life.
He might have tried to kill you.
All right, here we go. I'm here with Joe Diaz on our way to Monroe County to interview Melanie Addy about this stunning story. When I look back on that drive, there was a lot of anticipation. This was going to be one of the more unusual interviews I'd done. How did you even learn about this story, Joe?
I heard about this trial and was immediately, fascinated by how this man lived a double life.
We were about to interview Melanie Addy, the actual wife of James Addy, the man who was now accused of murder. Melanie, first of all, I want to thank you for doing this, because I know you've not done this before.
No, I haven't.
You said that you feel kind of emotional.
I do, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that takes you back there is hard.
It had been 3 years since Melanie learned the truth, but her emotions were still just under the surface as we went back to the beginning of her story.
That's me.
Oh, my
Jim.
goodness. Tell me about meeting James Addy.
I was working at a convenience store, and he was a customer. He came in a lot and finally asked me out.
And once you two hit it off, did he pop the question pretty soon?
Very quickly, maybe 6 months.
That's the wedding
the
photo.
wedding. Mm-hmm.
You look so young, both of you.
We didn't have a lot of money, and we had Ben on the way very quickly.
When Ben came into the picture, man, I remember going up to their house. It was always fun. So happy.
A few years later, Emma comes along.
Mm-hmm.
So your family is growing.
It was exactly what we wanted. We had these 2 great kids. I was a stay-at-home mom. He went to work. It was a very traditional way to do things. I thought it was very good. I love that picture, yeah. All of us together at Christmas time.
As the years went on, Melanie admits there were problems in the marriage. There were arguments about money. James clashed with their teen son. But she says she felt her husband was dedicated to his family and very loyal. And she never suspected that he was having an affair. Did you get any sense of whether he was contented and happy in the marriage?
He seemed the same all the time.
Melanie did admit that the marriage had its ups and downs, but in her mind, they had always been able to work through whatever the issues were. This was her reality. Everything was the same, but the fact is, it wasn't. James Addy was in a completely different place.
He was over it. He was done. He didn't love her anymore.
James Addy, for the past 7 years, had been living 2 lives.
How was he able to separate both of these lives?
He's a very good liar.
At one point, he takes a trip to Florida on his own.
Mm-hmm.
What was that trip about?
He told me it was a trip related to his work, where they were doing some training.
He took the extra step and printed out what looked like a business letter, made it look official that that's what he was doing, but he was taking the trip to Florida with Molly.
Another time he takes a trip to Mexico.
Right.
With friends.
I never really knew his work friends. Seems plausible.
As I talked to Melanie, knowing where this was going, it was hard not to be a little incredulous. But no matter what I asked, she was consistent. She said she did not know the truth about what was going on.
He would get off work at 3, and usually he would get home at 5. And I would say, well, why are you always so late? And that would be an argument. He didn't want to tell me anything.
Any suspicions?
Not about an affair, no.
No suspicions about an affair meant no suspicions about what was going to happen on April 27, 2018, the night Molly Watson was killed.
So let's go back then to April 27, 2018. Any strange behavior on his part?
No, not at all. Nothing. He just seemed like he always did. About 7 o'clock, he came in to the living room where I was and said he was going to a friend's house.
Did it strike you as unusual or odd?
I remember being irritated that I wanted him to just be home, and he had a hard time staying home.
Do you remember when he came home?
I was asleep.
Melanie says that Emma stayed up long after she had gone to bed. And whatever time James Addy got home, well, Melanie says that she woke up at 2 in the morning to the sound of his snoring. And she says she did what she normally does, move to the couch in the living room.
What next?
About 2:30, I think, I saw police car lights out my window. It was very strange to see that. I didn't know what was happening.
She wasn't ready for everything that was about to come. She wasn't prepared that he had this whole other life that was happening without her.
The police tell you
Yes.
that your husband has a dead fiance?
Yes.
And he's engaged to the woman.
Yeah.
And you're learning all of this in one night.
Immediately, yeah.
And you've been married for
23 years.
What did you think?
I can't even tell you. It was just mind-boggling. It made no sense at all. None.
Were you angry? Were you hurt? What were you feeling?
Probably just disbelief in the beginning. It didn't seem right. This was not my life.
Did you think that your husband was capable of murder?
Yes. It just seemed like something he would do to fix a problem. He was a pretty selfish person. He could be controlling and intimidating, and it could be challenging. I could see this being a way out for him.
Melanie Addy begins searching her house. She searches a loft-type area above the garage, which she rarely went into, and found a photo album.
She finds several photos of Jim and Molly together on trips to Cancun, of them together, smiling, a happy couple.
She found the photos of them in Florida on this trip that she had thought was a harmless business trip for him to go on, that he was actually there with his fiance, getting ready to get married.
Were you asking yourself, how could I have missed this?
Oh, absolutely, every day. Every day. How do you not see this? I guess because I wasn't supposed to see it.
So he's under arrest, he's in jail.
Yes.
Do you go visit him?
The following week, we were both in tears. Both in tears.
What is he saying to you?
That he's sorry. He's very sorry for the affair, but he insists that he was not the killer, that he is not responsible for this.
Was there a part of you that felt for him on any level?
Absolutely. Because I felt like, oh, I have to take care of him. This is what we do. We take care of each other.
Did you look at him suddenly as a stranger, as somebody you didn't know?
I looked at him as someone I didn't want back.
What would become of James Addy? If there's one piece of smoking gun evidence in this case, prosecutors say it's not a gun, it's a cell phone.
Like they say, deceased person doesn't speak, but it's almost like Molly was speaking from the grave. This is an unbelievable story. This is a story about a man who was living a double life.
Those lives were set on a collision course when he and Molly Watson began planning a wedding.
Just built and built and built to the point where the guy with 2 lives was about to have 2 wives, and he had to make a choice.
And when that wedding was less than 48 hours away.
2 days before this long-awaited marriage,
oh my God,
she's found murdered.
Dead.
A trial has started for a mid-Missouri man accused of killing his fiancée.
James Addy is accused of killing his fiancée, Molly Watson.
James Addy, the former prison guard, has himself been under guard, locked up in county jail for 3 years until his trial begins.
A female appeared out of a side room, caught me completely off guard.
The lead investigator, Bradley Ream, takes the stand.
I asked her who she was. She replied, "I am his wife."
He testifies about that jaw-dropping moment at the Addy home when they find out that James Addy is already married and his supposedly dead ex-wife, Melanie, is still very much alive. She's standing right there.
I was like, whoa. I was wondering what was going on. And he told me that I got myself involved in something I shouldn't have.
When you first went to the water crossing the first time, was there another car present?
Yes, there was. We came upon a pair of headlights down by the creek, and then I could tell there was another car facing away from me.
Glenn McSparron testifies about seeing that older white man at the crime scene, but in a blow to the prosecution, he cannot identify James Addy as the man he saw.
I couldn't get a really 100% clear look at him. I just couldn't get a good enough eyeball on him to tell for certain, hey, yeah, that's the guy. I wish I would have. It would have made everybody's life a lot easier.
But McSparron's description of the car that man was driving, that old grandma car, police say that matches Addy's car, and then they take a good look at the tires.
Prosecutors say one of the tires on Addy's car, a Goodyear tire, is just the kind that could leave a 00 impression, like the one found near Molly Watson's body.
It wasn't just that 00 print from the side of the Goodyear tire. Officers have something more. What prosecutors call a perfect tire print in the mud, just a few feet from Molly's body.
A state crime lab expert testifies that he compared the right rear tire on Addy's car to a cast that was made of the track that was found at the scene of the crime next to Molly's body.
And what conclusion did you draw, if any, about the tire and the cast?
My conclusion was that particular tire made that particular impression.
Prosecutors are convinced that this tire track matches Addy's car. The defense is saying, not so fast.
All right, I'd like to talk to you about this comparison that we just had that states
there is no widely accepted scientific principle behind an examiner looking at one tire and looking at a cast and saying they look the same to me.
State's Exhibit 67. Could you explain to the jury what they're looking at here?
That is an empty ammo box of .22 caliber.
A prosecution witness testifies bullets found in a .22 caliber rifle found in James Addy's home are consistent with Thunderbolt ammunition, the kind that came in the empty ammo box they found. Even so, that doesn't prove that that's the murder weapon.
Prosecutors call a long parade of highway patrol investigators and criminalists, and then they introduce a key item of evidence.
Prosecutors say it's not a gun, it's a cell phone, also found out on the side of the road.
We utilized a cell site simulator, and we were able to locate her phone.
Molly Watson's cell phone was a vital link in the chain of evidence for prosecutors. Like they say, deceased person doesn't speak, but it's almost like Molly was speaking from the grave.
Information from her cell phone did tell us that she had driven from her home to this location while she was on the phone with James Addy.
Investigators are poring over all these text messages between James and Molly, and what they're hoping to do is reconstruct the events leading up to her killing, and maybe they'll find even a triggering moment that caused it to happen.
And investigators say there's a reference to that story about Addy's wife dying after a car crash.
Prosecutors say Addy texted Molly that his ex-wife's funeral was happening the day before their wedding.
The funeral is tomorrow.
I'm sorry, sweetness. I love you so, so much.
Why would James Addy lie? I mean, why tell Molly his ex-wife Melanie was dead? Some speculate he hoped the story about the car crash would cause Molly to postpone the wedding and the collision of his two lives. But instead, it may have sped up his day of reckoning.
Molly, at a certain point, did try to look into this and question this, according to some of the things brought up in court.
Forensic searches of Molly's phones indicated that the day before she was murdered, she was looking for Melanie Addy's obituary.
What is the general theme of these searches?
Searching for obituary or death notices for Melanie Addy.
Was obviously unable to find an obituary for Melanie Addy.
Prosecutors make sure to point out the significance of these searches the day before the murder. They argue a theory that Molly has figured out she's been fed a pack of lies. James's wife isn't dead. He's not free to marry. This guy's a con man. So perhaps Molly confronted James, and he decides, well, I'm just going to end it with a gun.
Did James Addy have a plan to see Molly that night?
As stated here in the exhibit, the text message says, "I think I'm going to see you tonight." And that was sent from James's purple phone to Molly.
He knew. He knew what was going to happen. He knew how that day was going to end. Earlier in the evening of April 27th, before James Addy departed his home, he had sent text messages from himself to himself.
Have a meeting tonight at 8, normal place. You have to be there.
James Addy seems to be almost firing himself up to do something drastic.
Don't be a again. Let's go, man.
It was as if one part of him was telling the other to, come on, we can do this. Let's go.
Trying to psych himself up for something. Obviously now we know what it is. Don't be a man. Let's go, man. He's talking himself into it. He's getting himself ready.
As the trial is getting underway, what could have or would have been James Addy's closest allies as a criminal defendant, his wife and his daughter, are now actually going to take the stand against him.
Were you aware that you were on a guest list to attend your dad's wedding? I want to talk specifically right now about the evidence of April 27th, 2018. Molly's last night alive.
She was home just hanging out at her house when James Addy, her fiance, called her and said something to her that prompted her to leave the house.
Grabbed her slippers, threw them on, grabbed her coat and threw it on, and told my mom and dad, you know, I'm gonna meet James here in a little bit. I'll be right back. And out the door she went.
Molly was lured to this Monroe County road. A 22-minute phone call and a 22-minute drive to her death. The defendant's on the phone with her when she walks out her door. He's on the phone with her the entire drive.
For the next 30 minutes or so, police say that Addy's phones, both of them, are silent. No calls, no texting.
That is when he killed Molly Watson. Will you please state your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Emma Addy, E-M-M-A-A-D-D-I-E.
The most emotion that we saw out of James Addy was when Emma took the stand. James Addy was in tears.
The evidence at trial showed that Emma Addy had actually met Molly Watson previously.
James's daughter, Emma, needed a costume.
And Dad said that he knew somebody who did that kind of thing. And that person was Molly, and he took me to go meet her, and she made a costume for me.
James had introduced Molly as a friend from work.
What was James Addy thinking? Introducing this secret girlfriend to his own daughter, and of course, the daughter has no clue what she means to him. I mean, why? Why would he do this?
Did you know about his relationship with Molly?
No.
She articulated to the jury what she saw and heard and remembered from that night.
I was still up doing homework at around 10 p.m. And that's around the time that Dad came home.
Specifically that he got home at 10 o'clock, not 8:30.
On cross-examination, the defense really tries to create some doubt with timing as to when James Addy actually got home. Even though Emma says it was 10 o'clock, maybe he had gotten home earlier. Maybe he was in the garage working on his car. Maybe she didn't know.
You'd agree with me that back in this time frame that your dad would frequently be in the garage, correct?
Yes.
Emma's most damaging testimony may be about that bloody T-shirt. Remember the one that was found in the road near the crime scene?
The T-shirt becomes so important to this case because it's a one-of-a-kind T-shirt. And here's the kicker. It was made by James Addy's daughter, Emma.
Do you recognize that shirt?
Yes.
Right. How do you recognize that shirt?
She was able to identify it because she made it as a part of one of her classes. And so she was able to affirmatively say, that is a T-shirt that I made.
Okay, yeah, I know that's my shirt.
She gave it to her father.
I brought them home that day after the contest, and Dad said that he would take one to the garage just to use as rags.
The defense offers the jury an explanation for why that T-shirt was found near the crime scene. He suggests that perhaps James Addy had given it to Molly.
Is it so implausible that one fiance has a shirt that belonged to their fiance?
As far as your marriage with James Addy, can you describe it for the jury?
Testifying next, the woman James Addy allegedly claimed was dead, his now ex-wife, Melanie Addy.
It was good sometimes, it was bad sometimes. I thought we both tried to make it work.
You were called to testify. How hard was that?
It's horrible. It's just horrible. You don't want to be there. I don't want to be in a position where I'm hurting him. I don't want to do that.
So in April of 2018, were you still married to Mr. Addy and living in that same home?
Yes.
Did you have any plans to divorce at that point?
No.
After 23 years of marriage, Melanie Addy had divorced James, for real, soon after his arrest.
Within a few weeks, you filed for divorce.
Oh, yes. He'd always been very hard on me about you know, how a wife should act and how a wife should be. And then he did this. He had an affair, and that's okay. No, we were done. We were done.
James Addy didn't react to his ex-wife taking the stand, but everybody else did. Anybody watching was riveted.
I'm going to take you back specifically to April 27th of 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
James Addy indicated to law enforcement that he was wearing certain clothing that night.
Tells them boots and a pair of gym shorts. However, later conversations with Melanie Addy reveal that those were not the clothes that he was wearing. Do you remember what he was wearing when he left?
Blue jeans, a black jacket, and boots.
Blue jeans, boots, and a dark black colored jacket.
That jacket was never recovered during a search of the Addy home.
Prosecutors also ask Melanie about that outrageous story, the one they say James told Molly, that Melanie was dead.
Were you in a horrible car crash in October of 2017 around Christmas or New Year's?
No.
And is it fair to say you did not pass away in April of 2018?
That's correct.
As the murder trial speeds along, a defense strategy catches some courtroom observers by surprise, and the jury delivers a verdict.
All right, then. My understanding the jury has reached a verdict. Do I have a foreperson? Yes, sir.
When the jury walked in, like 5 of the jury members looked at us. Like they glanced over, and I thought, okay, I don't know if it's a good sign or not.
My name is Richard Stewart Painter.
So back in April of 2018, you were in jail at that time, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What's a case without a jailhouse snitch? But this trial had not one, but 2 inmates who took the stand to testify against James Addy.
Bryce Hendren and Richard Painter were 2 inmates in the Monroe County Jail at the time that James Addy was arrested and brought to detention there.
Did something happen while you were in the jail that concerned you?
Yes, it did.
They're all sitting together in a common room, watching television, just kind of shooting the breeze. And they asked Jim, well, what are you doing here?
A conversation about bond come up. And it was brought to our attention that his bond was $500,000. And that sparked our attention enough to wonder what he had done. And then the phrase was made, I put someone face down in a ditch.
The guy said he laid someone face down in a ditch. That was about it.
How the state interprets that was essentially Jim confessing to having done this, to having killed Molly.
Like most defense attorneys in cases where jailhouse snitches are used, this attorney wants to tear it apart on cross-examination.
Isn't it true that you actually aren't sure what you heard, right?
I was right beside him, and I can say 99% sure that that's what I heard him say.
You said that you gave a statement to law enforcement, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in that statement, right, you said, I'm not sure what I heard, right?
If that's what I said, then that's...
My name is Bradley Bream.
Samantha Cohen.
Nathan Schinkel. Carl Christopher Stacy.
After calling nearly 20 witnesses over the course of 3 days, the state rests its case.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
And now it's time for the defense to take its turn. All kinds of options here. They could introduce evidence, they could call witnesses, or they could put James Addy himself on the stand. Instead, they do none of the above.
James Addy does not testify. In fact, as sometimes happens, the defense calls no witnesses at all.
Not putting up a case for the defense is fairly common because the argument is it's the state's burden to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt.
And I am confident that you will return the verdicts of guilty.
Once my client puts a witness on the stand, now we're in competition for who is more likable, for who do we believe more. You lose the state's burden and you take on a burden yourself. Your doubts are reasonable. Your doubts are reasonable because Jim did not kill Molly.
James Addy's defense team took the stance of the state is expecting you to connect the dots, and that's not your job as jurors.
Because the evidence will show that the state does not have proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
They attempted to raise enough reasonable doubt about the things that weren't there. There was no murder weapon. What would be the motive of a man in love killing his fiancée?
He was in love with Molly, was the defense, and he was having an affair, but that didn't necessarily mean that he was the killer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the defendant had a choice to make. And the evidence in this case shows us that this is the life he did not choose.
Closing arguments in this case ended up being on what would have been James and Molly's 3-year anniversary.
Molly Watson does not get to celebrate her 3-year wedding anniversary today, but you have the power to give her justice.
The most anticipated time for any jury trial is the reading of the verdict. Here, the jury deliberated about 2.5 hours the fate of James Addy and announced they had reached a unanimous decision.
All right, then. My understanding the jury has reached a verdict. Do I have a foreperson? Yes, sir.
When the jury walked in, like 5 of the jury members looked at us. Like they glanced over, and I thought, okay, I don't know if this is a good sign or not.
Verdict reads as follows. As to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant, James Addy, guilty of murder in the first degree as submitted in instruction number 6.
The jury found James Addy guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Molly Watson and armed criminal action.
Oh, I was happy. I was so happy to hear that because my sister got justice, my mom and dad got justice.
Did you feel that your husband should have been found guilty of murder?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is he a killer?
Apparently.
You asked me earlier what I was surprised at during the trial.
During the entire course of the trial, he failed to represent anything that I brought forward, sir.
Up until this point, James Addy has fully exercised his right to remain silent throughout the trial. But now he's ready to open up and give the court his version of what he says really happened.
Jim took the opportunity to really lay out how he felt about this case.
There was no way that I could have done this crime.
And he's going to point to someone he says is the true killer.
Thank you, and have a seat.
We're here today on 18AC-CR01983, State versus James Addy. The matter comes on today for final disposition.
2 months after his conviction, James Addy is formally sentenced.
Mr. Addy, having been convicted by a jury of your peers of the charge of murder in the first degree, I hereby sentence you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, that being the sentence mandated by law.
Once sentencing is over, the judge wants to hear from Addy.
Anyone expecting regrets or remorse is in for quite a surprise.
Normally, criminal defendants keep their mouths shut, they say yes when they're supposed to, and they move on their way to get their appeal going.
Addy has plenty to say, beginning by reading a love letter to the woman he's convicted of killing.
Molly is the love of my life.
Addy insists that Molly was the love of his life. He says he misses her terribly and would have done anything to keep her happy. Addy is now asking for a new trial. He's complaining to the judge that his defense counsel was ineffective.
During the entire course of the trial, he failed to represent anything that I brought forward, sir.
Jim honestly let his defense attorney have it. He said that he did not think that TJ did a great job.
Can you give me an idea of what kind of stuff you wanted him to bring forward?
Cell phone records, Facebook posts that were in discovery that showed motive that somebody else would.
Molly had an ex who, according to him, had stalked her, very much so had a motive to do harm to Molly as her wedding was approaching.
We reviewed all of the evidence collected during this investigation and presented the relevant admissible evidence at trial, and there was no evidence of any other person with a direct connection to Molly Watson's death.
That evidence pointed to one person, James Addy, who had the motive, means, and opportunity to take Molly Watson's life.
It was the sins of the heart, I would say. He should have been a man enough to just say, I did that, and I'm sorry. It's just terrible that damn it. I just wish he wouldn't have done that.
I would like to see him and ask him, what were you thinking? Why did you do this to us? Why did you do this to you?
You don't see yourself as a victim.
Not at all. Molly's the victim. She's not here. She lost her life.
It's so funny because here just a couple of days ago at work, I'm a mechanic and we have our bay doors open, and out of the blue, this balloon came right up to me and it says, "We love you, we miss you." And that was my mom, dad, and Molly telling me, "Hey, we're watching you." So it definitely felt good.
You just think of the lyrics of that song that Molly loved so much from the movie Tangled.
Bring back what once was mine, what once was mine.
So many people missing her. And we should note tonight that James Addy has now filed a motion for a new trial.
Among his claims, he says the trial court should not have allowed the jury to see some of his text messages with Molly Watson. That is our program for tonight. I'm Amy Robach.
And I'm David Muir. From all of us here at ABC News in 2020, good night.
Kelsey was 8 weeks pregnant, last seen in Pueblo, visiting her boyfriend.
Friends and family would get text replies back, but they said that it just didn't quite sound like Kelsey.
I did have a sinking feeling in my stomach.
This unknown man is seen walking to Kelsey Schelling's car and is seen driving away with the car.
I mean, we're trying everything. Breaks my heart.
Almost 2 years after Kelsey's disappearance, a mysterious message giving everyone hope comes through that Help Find Kelsey Facebook page.
It was saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous?
Kelsey Schelling grew up in the tiny farm town of Holyoke, Colorado.
Holyoke is around 2.5 to 3 hours away from Denver.
It's quiet. Just kind of have your own way.
Perfect place to raise a family.
Yeah, real good place. Yeah, safe. You're hoping anyway, you know.
Holyoke is definitely agricultural. There's only one stoplight, and if you want to go to a Walmart, you've got to head west to Sterling. That's 50 miles away.
In the early 90s, Kelsey's parents, Doug and Laura, owned the local grocery store in Holyoke. Kelsey and her brother Colby seemed to be living out the American dream. I first met Laura Saxton back in 2016 when 2020 was first looking into Kelsey's story.
You know, she's just always been a little firecracker. Hi, Kel. Hi, Cocoa Bean.
Kelsey. Kel.
She wasn't a kid that wanted to stay up till midnight, you know, where you usually have to fight your kids to go to bed, like at 8:30. That's when she wanted to go to bed. She'd go into her room and pull back her covers, and each animal had to be in a certain place, and everything had to be just perfect.
When she got to be 2, 3, 4 years old, she was feisty. You'd try to give her a kiss, and she'd slap me pretty good, so I kind of learned my lesson, you know.
My first impression of Kelsey, she was just an active, outdoors, fun-loving girl, liked to do a lot of sports. When my daughter and Kelsey first met up, their true love was playing basketball together.
I was her coach, yeah. Here she is right here.
Wow. Is she the point guard?
Mm-hmm.
When we were still in elementary school, her dad took us out and let us drive on the dirt roads, which is pretty common around here. Kelsey could just laugh about things like that, and her laugh made us laugh. She'd start to giggle, then you would start to giggle, and so that's what made being around Kelsey so special.
Kelsey was a tiny little thing, you know, shorter than me.
The Kelsey that I knew didn't take a lot of crap off her classmates. You know, she wasn't afraid to stand her ground. But as Kelsey enters her teens, the Schelling family is rocked when Doug and Laura decide to divorce.
Going through a divorce is really hard as a kid.
Yeah, the split of our parents certainly had an impact on both of us.
Colby.
Colby lived with me, and Kelsey lived with her mom. It was a real dark time for the whole family.
It was a rough age. You know, after her dad and I got divorced, it was just she and I together alone for a lot of years.
She was in a bad emotional place, and I don't think that was due to her character and nature. I think that was circumstantial.
When Laura and I was going through a divorce, she was on antidepressant pills, and she ended up taking like 3 of them or something.
She ended up in the hospital for several days, and it was pretty scary. I mean, I thought we were going to lose her at that point.
She was in a coma?
She was.
I felt like it was a turning point. I mean, when any young school-age kid has parents who are splitting up, that's a lot to take on. She actually stopped doing all of the sports and activities. It seemed like she was more removed.
I think Kelsey was just looking for a change. She wanted to figure out what was her niche.
Kelsey was always, I think, working through, how do I be better? How do I grow? How do I move past this?
Our senior year, she was the prom queen. You don't get that without showing people kindness and respect and truly being embraced by your peers, you know.
Kelsey taught me, she taught me perseverance.
Eventually, she moves on. She goes to Northeastern Junior College. What did she want to do with her life?
She wanted to get a degree in psychology. I think in her heart, she wanted to work with children.
We officially became roommates January of 2011. If all of us were bored at 3 o'clock in the morning, she'd be the one to say, let's go cause problems, I guess. Not bad problems, she was just, you know, out for a good time. She loved to have fun. That was her thing to do.
And for a while, Carefree Kelsey is back. And then she meets Dante Lucas. He's about to change her life forever.
It was a big deal that she was dating Dante. He was part of the basketball team. They were kind of the popular kids and everything. By the time Kelsey got to know him, she felt proud that she knew who he was because he was somebody to know.
He had dreams of making it big in the NBA.
Kelsey thought she met the man of her dreams.
Marker. Please say your full name and give us your title.
Lisa Wayne, attorney at law. Well, I had the privilege of being down in Pueblo in the 80s, and I was a public defender. Pueblo's a small town in southern Colorado. Used to be a steel mill town. The steel mill shut down in the 80s.
Pueblo was founded and built by people that came from all over the world.
We're the home of the Pueblo chili. Everyone that lives there is so proud of this town.
Kelsey's love interest, Dante Lucas, lives in Pueblo. Sarah Lucas, Dante's mother, is raising all 4 kids on her own in this Colorado town, set on what's called the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. In the town of Pueblo, a 6'7" star athlete stands out.
I coached Dante Lucas in youth football. He was a coach's dream. He's a real polite kid, wanted to learn the game of football and just really quiet. Dante Lucas was super close with his mother, Sarah. On the football field, she was one of the most supportive parents. For Dante, football wasn't his sport. I'd say he's a better basketball player, which happened later in his career through high school here in Pueblo.
Dante Lucas was a very well-known basketball player. He was going to be the one who made it out of Pueblo.
He had dreams of making it big in the NBA.
It was obvious that he wanted to pursue it, but the family spoke more about it than he did. We were told by Dante's mom, Sarah, that he was getting contacted from North Carolina and Kentucky. Their dream was that he was going to make the NBA and make a good life for himself.
When I first met Dante, he was a freshman here at Central High School. He was 6'7". If you have that kind of size, you know, you can make a lot of things happen.
It just amazed me as a guy in class that was so quiet was just as popular as he was.
He was a really good role model for the young kids in the neighborhood.
His attitude was always good. He was good with his teammates. He just matured into a very good basketball player.
His overall drive as a student from day one, it wasn't up to snuff. As a teacher, I'd try to get him involved with the rest of the class. I talked to him about that several times.
Whether it was his grades or his skill, Dante didn't get into an NCAA school, but he wanted to continue to play basketball. Dante gets recruited to Northeastern Junior College in Sterling, Colorado. He's playing basketball when he meets Kelsey Schelling, and they begin dating.
Kelsey and another one of our roommates actually went to a basketball game and were scouting out the cute boys on the team, saw Dante and decided to go up and talk, and that's how she and Dante met. By the time Kelsey got to know him and really got kind of involved, she felt proud that she knew who he was because he was somebody to know. They spent a lot of their extra free time together.
When did you first meet him?
I never met him. I saw him play basketball a couple times.
Kelsey never really said anything about bringing him home to meet the parents.
He was not committed to her by any means.
Kelsey could have had anybody, but she kind of always took attraction to people that needed help, that she thought she could turn around.
I believe that if Dante was, failing or had bad grades, that his basketball career at the school would be definitely on pause. I don't honestly think that Dante really cared to learn. Kelsey would try to help him. He would just seem very disinterested and not really care.
I think she just hoped if she was good enough to him that, he would realize that, she's the one.
I think Kelsey stayed with Dante because she found someone that gave her attention even if it wasn't the right kind of attention. And I think Dante was with Kelsey because he got money from Kelsey, borrowed Kelsey's car, basically lived a life that everyone works for but didn't have to do anything for it. Just had to be there.
There were good days in the relationship with Dante, and then it just went south. He would play with her heart. I could definitely see some bubbliness fading out as he broke her spirit.
Kelsey texts Dante, "I'm really hurt. The way you talk about me to other people is your true feelings. I guess I'm just a fool. I'm so heartbroken." Days later, Dante would respond, "My phone's been dead the past few days."
And then afterwards she'd be like, "Oh, well, he's better, he's gonna be better." And then she'd be happy.
Dante left Northeastern Junior College because he was kind of done with his studies.
After Kelsey leaves Northeastern Junior College, she lands in California, but she doesn't stay there long. Why did she decide to leave?
Mostly it was financial reasons.
Where did she go from there?
That's when she moved back to Colorado. Was living in Denver in her dad's apartment, and she had started working at Floor & Decor.
When did she start going out with Dante again?
Over the holiday time frame, November, December, he would stay with her, but then he'd go back to Pueblo sometime.
Were you worried that he would come back and what that would do to her?
Absolutely. I saw what it was like before, and I didn't want that to happen to her again. She didn't want that to happen to her again, because she knew the kind of person that she became when she was with him.
And how in the world did they get back together?
I don't know. She missed him, I guess.
Kelsey has a surprise for her family. She's pregnant.
She called me when she found out she was pregnant, and she was stressed, very stressed. I could tell she was scared to tell me. Just told her, "I will support you. It's going to be okay." She was happy.
Did she tell you anything about Dante's reaction?
She said he was mad.
She and Dante would be texting, and he would stop responding either during arguments that they were having. She would then get upset, wait to hear back from Dante, and left in limbo, and it was very aggravating for her.
Kelsey texts Dante, "You were my best friend, the only thing I lived for day after day. What happened to us? It wasn't supposed to be like this."
One time I'd talk to her and she'd say, he's kind of coming around, and Dante will never abandon the baby.
But a child with Kelsey was not in Dante's plans.
Kelsey gets a text from Dante, and he says that he has something for her. He alludes to a surprise, and he wants her to come to Pueblo.
Kelsey had come home. When she was here, she slept a lot. I knew it was hard on her working full-time in Denver. Now with the new pregnancy, she was really tired. I said, "I will support you. Whether Dante is in the picture or not in the picture, it's gonna be okay." She was happy. She wanted that baby. She wanted to be a mom.
She was in a good place.
Yes. So I'm thankful for those couple of days that we got before she went missing.
My name is Zach Hillstrom. I am a reporter at the Pueblo Chieftain. I think that people have been trying to fill in the blanks about what happened to Kelsey from the time that it happened, and not just when the mystery seemed like it might be a permanent one. On February 3rd of 2013, Dante Lucas, her boyfriend, was trying to convince Kelsey Schelling to come visit him in Pueblo that day. She responded with a firm no. It seems like they fought a lot that night. Just before 3 a.m., Kelsey texted Dante, "You don't have to be in a relationship with me. You don't have to marry me. You don't have to have a happy little family with me. You don't have an obligation to me. You're good. Don't worry. Good night." Lucas's response to that was, "Oh, I know all of that. Thanks for stating that for me."
So it was February 4th, and Kelsey had taken 3 home pregnancy tests. So she went into the doctor and had the doctor confirm to her that she was actually pregnant. She got the sonogram done. She even had the photo in hand of her sonogram. She was able to share that with her mom.
What did you think when you saw the baby?
I was happy. I knew that she was happy.
She showed up to work probably 10 minutes late. She just had her ultrasound. She's really excited. She was in a great mood that day.
That morning, Kelsey told Dante that she had finished her appointment and that her due date was September 13th. Lucas's response to that was cool. He asked her to skip work and come to Pueblo. She texted him, "I'm not gonna come get you so we can fight all day." He texted back, "I don't wanna fight at all. I want to give you this." She writes back, "Give me what?" He says, "Just wait and see for yourself. You probably wouldn't believe me if I told you anyway, so you can see for yourself."
Kelsey decides to go down to Pueblo after work.
She clocked out of work at a little bit after 8:40 p.m. and hit the road to see Dante in Pueblo.
So Denver to Pueblo drive right down I-25. It's about 2 hours long. It's just one straight path. Not a lot of people are out on the roads. It is a lonely, quiet drive. While she's driving down to Pueblo, Dante sends her a text saying, "Let's meet at the Southside Walmart." And she parks her car there.
She texted him at 10:20 saying she'd arrived, and he replied that he'd be there shortly.
She's waiting, and she's getting impatient, like any girlfriend would.
At 11:10 p.m., he still hadn't shown up to the Walmart.
That's when Dante says, "Let's meet at our spot," which is in the neighborhood of his grandmother's home, and that's where Dante was staying at the time. She moved her car there from the Southside Walmart. She was just parked on the side of the road in this residential neighborhood. So then she's left waiting there again, and she's still impatiently texting him.
The last confirmed message from Kelsey was sent at 11:18 p.m. She was asking Dante, "Where are you? I've been here for over an hour just waiting."
The following day, the 5th, she didn't show up for work. So I tried calling her, couldn't get a response. So then I shot her a text message asking her where she was, why she wasn't at work. Got a text message back right away saying that she was in the hospital having some tests done. And she said that she was not having a baby anymore, it was growing in the wrong place.
I tried calling her on Wednesday. She didn't answer her phone, which is kind of pretty rare. And then I texted her, I said, "Hey, give me a call." I got a text message back, said, "I'm not feeling good, I'm on the couch, I'll call you tomorrow."
I kept trying to call, and she wouldn't answer. Toward the end of the week, it was going directly to voicemail. So then, in the back of my mind, I'm starting to get concerned.
After Kelsey had driven to Pueblo, there was never a phone call that was answered from her phone.
Kelsey is not the type of person who would not talk to her friends. She was glued to her phone.
Friends and family would get text replies back, but they said that it came in a voice that just didn't quite sound like Kelsey. It was just short, quick responses.
Generally, any text message I had from Kelsey, words were spelled and there was punctuation, and they didn't have that.
I got to looking at the text message and it's like, man, I don't think that was her.
Why didn't you think that was her?
Just the verbiage in it and stuff. I mean, it just didn't seem like, her texting me.
Then on that Saturday morning, it's like the whole world just unraveled. All of her friends started contacting us saying, we've been trying to reach Kelsey and we can't reach her. I called Doug, her dad, and said, something is wrong. And so then we all drove up to Denver that day. Went into the apartment. There was no sign of her in the apartment. And that's when we called the Denver police.
Family members were visibly upset. They were frantic, actually, almost feverishly asking for any help they could get in trying to locate her.
Did you reach out to Dante?
I did contact him to ask him, if he knew where she was.
What did he sound like on the phone? Because the call that you're making to him is, Kelsey, the woman that you are with, the mother of your child, is missing. We are desperate to find her.
Nothing, no. Not worked up, not, just...
He's not scared? What can I do? How can I help?
No, he just says, if I hear from her, I'll let you know. And then a little bit later, he got back with me. He said, I heard from Kelsey. She called from a private number. She said she doesn't have her phone. And she said she'll be getting a hold of you.
Intimating that she's alive, she's out there.
And I said, well, can you track that number? And he's like, yeah, I'll try and figure out what the number was. And then, of course, he never did.
When this case first came in, I called Dante. He was telling me that he had seen her and had talked with her and spent time with her more recently than any of her family members, any of her friends. After I got off the phone, I did have a sinking feeling in my stomach. The following Friday, February 15th, that morning is when we drove down to Pueblo to turn the investigation over to the Pueblo Police Department.
We, in the beginning, were trying not to call him a suspect, just to try to build a rapport with him and try to sit down and get him to open up.
Can you kind of tell me just briefly what happened?
Well, early Tuesday morning, she came down to Pueblo.
During the course of the interrogation with Dante Lucas, he reveals some pretty shocking things about Kelsey and about the baby.
Now to the mysterious disappearance of a Denver woman.
Pregnant woman who vanished. Kelsey was 8 weeks pregnant, last seen in Pueblo, visiting her boyfriend Dante Lucas.
So when do you start talking to Dante Lucas?
We start talking to him fairly quickly as far as what is going on.
Police bring Dante in for questioning, and immediately he denies a romantic relationship with Kelsey.
Now, is she your girlfriend, or no?
We never were actually in a relationship.
Can you kind of tell me just briefly what happened?
She came down to Pueblo, and we're talking, whatever. She ended up, getting mad at me or whatever.
Dante tells Officer Robinson that Kelsey slept in her car in Pueblo.
He said that they met up again the following morning and that he brought Kelsey Schelling to Parkview Medical Center, where she went inside.
So, went to Parkview, and she went in and stayed for about almost 2 hours, hour 45 too.
We have no record of Kelsey Schelling ever being here at Parkview Medical Center.
Now, what do you check to find out if she was here or not?
We have a medical records system that keeps track of every patient that's ever walked through our doors.
So for you, there was no way she's ever here?
That's correct.
He alluded to the fact that she may have had a miscarriage.
She came out and she told me that she wasn't pregnant.
Just the day before in Denver, Kelsey's doctor told her that the baby was healthy.
So then after we left Parkview,
Dante claimed that he and Kelsey then went to the Southside Walmart. Kelsey was going to grab some snacks before she made the drive back to Denver.
She went to go get some snacks, like something to eat, because she was hungry. And then came back out, we ended up talking, and she ended up telling me, like, get out of the car at Walmart, and she didn't want to take me home. So I just left from Walmart, started walking home, and then my mom came and got me.
But surveillance video from Walmart reveals a different version of events.
He contends that the two of them are together, and clearly, based on the surveillance, it's one person. It's him getting out of the car, and no one else exits.
When the car was parked at Walmart on February 5th, police believe that it was Daunte Lucas parking that car, getting out and walking away. They have pretty good surveillance video showing it.
The car sat there overnight.
The morning of February 6th, this unknown man is seen walking to Kelsey Schelling's car, parked at the Southside Walmart, and is seen driving away with the car. We have no idea who that person was in that video.
It's a car that that person is familiar with, and we know earlier that Daunte had the key.
Who do you think that someone was that came back and drove that car away?
You know, there's similarities to Daunte, but it's nothing that we can 100% say that is the person who drove it away.
When Daunte Lucas talked with police, he didn't paint the best picture of Kelsey. He painted a picture of, you know, just that she was kind of troubled.
She had like bad anxiety, she has anxiety attacks, so she had pills for that.
What can you tell me about that?
She's told me before that like she's ended up in like the hospital a few times from like overdosing, I guess.
Daunte cast her to police as someone who had troubles with drugs.
No.
No?
I don't believe that, no.
She just one time she told me about suicide, but she told me she ended up in the hospital behind it like multiple times.
When she was 15 years old, she did. So yes, she has had that in her past. But if she committed suicide, you would find her body. I mean, she was happy. She wanted that baby. She wanted to be a mom.
So at this point, Kelsey has been missing for more than a week. But on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2013, her car is discovered.
The car of a missing Denver woman has been found in Pueblo.
Detectives will be examining Kelsey's car.
It was big news when Kelsey's car was found at St. Mary Corwin Medical Center. How did it get there? What happened to Kelsey?
I knew once her car was found that something horrible had happened, because there's just no way that she would have gone somewhere and left her car.
To find the car and no Kelsey.
And no Kelsey. We did not have any good security footage that could tell us who dropped off the car, how the car got there. Normally, if someone was going to go away for a few days, they'd take their car with them. So we are now leaning towards foul play. So we accelerate the case.
Police start working backwards. They start going through surveillance video, and what they find is pretty surprising. Less than 12 hours after she would have arrived in Pueblo, surveillance video shows Daunte in her car at an ATM in Pueblo. He's driving and he takes $400 out of Kelsey's bank account.
But is it suspicious for you that he uses that card after the date where you pinpoint Kelsey was missing?
It is part of the suspicious activity, yes.
Because Daunte withdraws money from Kelsey's account without her in the car, Daunte is brought in for a second time by Pueblo police.
This is the second time I talked to you.
These detectives had a wealth of information to go at him.
Why'd you get the money?
The money? What money are we talking about?
11:39 at the bank. You're on video, dude. In her car with her credit card. You're on tape.
Yo, this is for the 400 that you're talking about? This is for my phone bill.
Why didn't she go with you to the ATM? It's not in the car. It's on the video.
It may have been while she was over the hospital. Honestly, I'm not sure about the, like I said, like my time frame has been messed up.
The detective moves on to another topic, talking about why there's no record of Kelsey ever showing up at the hospital.
There's no record of her ever being at Parkview.
That's like all I have to say.
Now here's the thing. Instead of pressing Daunte on these contradictions, they move on to an unrelated topic.
When you dropped her off, when she dropped you off at Walmart, where were you parked at? I mean, like, apparently you guys know, so, like, I don't understand why you, like, I told him one time, like, I don't, that's all I can say about it.
When she dropped you off, when was that again?
Can I speak to a lawyer, please? So if you guys keep asking the same questions over and over, like, I was like, speak to a lawyer.
Once he requests a lawyer, all questions come to a halt.
Unfortunately, this is a very poorly executed interview. I think it's a tremendous missed opportunity.
Once he shut down, our avenues of trying to talk to him end.
And how did you read that?
As the possibility that he knows something.
Dante Lucas was arrested on February 15th. They don't arrest him on murder charges. He was arrested on felony identity theft charges for using Kelsey's debit card at the bank that day.
But those charges were later dropped when investigators found out that Kelsey did, on occasion, give him permission to use her bank card.
How do you prove she did not or did give him permission at that time? And since you had permission to do it before, it makes it a very difficult case to prosecute.
He's released. He's, living his life.
Do we suspect foul play? Yes. Have we come up with a body? No. Dante is a person of interest in the fact that she's missing.
Hoping to get Dante to talk, police bring in the person who knows him better than anyone.
Keep us up at night. This was a story that I spent 4 years working on and reporting on.
5 years of no answers.
I wanted so badly for there to be justice in this case.
To let you see
Even though Kelsey's car was found in Pueblo, Kelsey hadn't been found. Police, maintained at that time that it was a missing persons case.
When the charges of identity theft are dropped in March of 2013, police can't get Dante to talk again.
You'll have the chair right there. I'll grab your water and we'll be back in a second.
So they take a different tact. They decide to speak to his mother, Sarah Lucas.
I would love to clear Dante and move on. If Dante would come in, do a polygraph, we ask him like 5 questions. If he passes that, we can move on and look other directions.
I will relay that to his lawyer, and I know my son wants nothing more than to find out what happened to her.
Detectives ask her about February 5th. That's the day that Dante was seen on surveillance camera parking Kelsey's car at Walmart.
Did you in fact pick Dante up?
I did pick my son up.
At that time, did you see Kelsey? Was she with him or?
No, she wasn't with him then.
Do you know where she was?
Yes.
Sarah gives Dante an alibi for his whereabouts on February 6th, when that unknown man is seen moving Kelsey's car from the Walmart.
On the 6th, Dante, or somebody that looks remarkably similar to Dante, I'm not going to say 100% was him, but went back and picked it up.
There's no way that was him. There's no way he was at home. I know my son. He's not capable of hurting anybody.
But it's been 3 years since this case happened. No one's been charged.
That's right. You have inconsistencies, lies, but without a body or any direct evidence that tells us something happened to her, to a homicide, it may happen one day, but right now it's, we haven't had any evidence to reclassify it.
You look at the Pueblo Police Department, they probably didn't have as many resources, and her family quickly became frustrated with how this investigation was progressing, or kind of the lack thereof any progress.
Kelsey's still not a victim, according to them. There's not been a criminal act committed, according to them. We just want an effective investigation done into Kelsey's disappearance.
Her family is pleading for your help.
We're doing everything in our power to find our missing loved one.
We tried to push Pueblo police for answers. We were there for every press conference, every event. We just weren't getting any new information from them at all. And to me, that was so frustrating.
The investigation really isn't being handled properly.
Laura Saxton always been a fierce advocate for her daughter, and I don't think she'll rest until Kelsey is found.
Many in Pueblo are not giving up on finding clues that could help find Kelsey Schelling.
Why do you think people feel so strongly about Kelsey's case?
They can't believe it. They try and imagine what if it was their child.
We're gonna break up again over here.
In May of that year when she went missing, they started doing their own searches because they didn't think police were looking hard enough.
The whole community was rallying. There were so many searches for her body all over the city of Pueblo.
This is probably one of the largest groups we've had in a while. after 3 years. That means a lot, so thank you.
Come on, kid.
People were scattering, just looking for any shred of evidence.
It's becoming harder to come back. I dread the trips, but I know I have to do it.
She comes home empty-handed. The one thing that she doesn't have is Kelsey.
They never found anything on those searches. Then those searches turned into anniversaries.
Kelsey, and hopefully some tips and leads in the case. Kelsey's family also set up a Facebook page, Help Find Kelsey.
It was one source or one place where people could come together to generate information, maybe from even people that didn't want to call police.
You get a Facebook message.
It was from a woman saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous? It's so awful. He sold her into sex trafficking. I almost feel like I went insane. What if she is still out there somewhere?
We were on the ground to investigate, and I couldn't believe what happened.
Right when they're at the trunk, get ready.
It's Ryan Smith, ABC News.
Is seen driving away with the car.
And Kelsey's just gone.
Kelsey had taken 3 home pregnancy tests.
Now, is she your girlfriend or no? We never were actually in a relationship.
The lead suspect stops talking.
Can I speak to a lawyer, please?
It's a dead end.
These are the stories that keep us up at night.
But an undercover volunteer befriends him.
I had to play the role that I didn't know what was happening, so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, what is happening?
Okay, they're both rolling now.
There's a sting operation.
Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. We're about 10 seconds away.
Marcus Ryan Smith, ABC News. How you doing?
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down.
The anxiety level was high, the tension was high.
A witness in the Dante Lucas trial
was found shot to death. Another moment where your jaw hit the floor.
When they came and told us the verdict was in, we all were just like, oh my God.
Her mother simply won't give up on finding Kelsey. For nearly 2 years, Laura Saxton had been on a desperate search for answers about her daughter Kelsey, who suddenly disappeared in February of 2013.
There will be a renewed search for clues in the case of Kelsey Schelling.
Just through seeing Laura Saxton, the tears, the sadness, the frustration, it all came, rolling out.
Many in Pueblo are not giving up on finding clues that could help find Kelsey Schelling.
The relentlessness of this mother's search really struck a chord with so many people in Pueblo. Scores of locals turned out to help Laura search all around the Pueblo area for any trace of Kelsey.
Over here on this other hike in 2 more groups.
The ride home is always really tough, going home empty-handed, emotionally and physically.
Is it hard to keep hope?
As far as the hope of actually finding her, that dwindles, every day.
But then, in October of 2015, nearly 2 years after Kelsey's disappearance, there's a shocking development. A mysterious message giving Laura hope comes through the Help Find Kelsey Facebook page. That's the page that Laura had set up to gather tips and leads on the case.
It was saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous?
When Laura responds, a man emails her saying, "Ma'am, please, your daughter is not dead. She will be back home alive." The man offers a harrowing account of what really happened to Kelsey. He claims that Dante hired a friend to kill her and says Dante has no idea she is alive. He thinks she is dead.
And that the friend did not kill her. He sold her into sex trafficking. It made me sick. I mean, I could barely function. What if she is still out there somewhere?
The emailer says he needs money to help Kelsey escape. $50,000 in cash. So the plan is this. The money is to be brought to Vancouver, Washington, specifically to a local McDonald's restaurant. Then it's to be hand-delivered to a guy named Marcus, who would be wearing a red hat.
Once the money was exchanged, then this courier person would go and get Kelsey and bring her back to the McDonald's. I'll have to sell some stocks, which will take about a week, but I can push to expedite that process. I just thought, what if she's been out there and I could have found her and we haven't? I mean, it was just what if?
Laura sets up the meeting at the McDonald's in Vancouver to deliver the cash. But even though she's desperate for answers, she's worried that something criminal is going on. So she reaches out to the Vancouver police and asks them to go undercover to meet this courier.
It felt like law enforcement from Vancouver should have been involved in the situation.
But just before the appointed time, the Vancouver police back out, believing it to be an internet scam and not an actual human trafficking plot. But 2020 had the McDonald's under surveillance to see if anyone would show up. Our cameras are rolling as a man with a red hat comes in.
That's him.
He sits quietly, but after no one shows up, he takes off.
Okay, he's on the move. Cut the engine.
Weird, eerie to see that they actually were, going through with this.
He's gone.
It was just all a matter of trying to get down to the truth of this.
As I was investigating this mysterious email, a contact of mine told me about another missing woman's case that proved to be the key to unraveling this mystery. In Portsmouth, Ohio, 1,200 miles away from Colorado, Megan Lancaster, 25 years old, has also suddenly disappeared.
Katie Lancaster is on a mission to help find her sister-in-law.
I mean, she's gone without a trace. We have her car and her wallet.
An eerie feeling like there's something, like we're gonna find something.
Months go by with no developments. Megan's family organizes searches and sets up a Facebook page to publicize the case.
And then, out of nowhere, he pops up.
A startling message comes through the family's Facebook page about Megan.
He says, I know where Megan is, and I can get her back.
Just like with Kelsey's family, the emailer says he can help Megan escape, but he needs money, $50,000. He directs them to bring $25,000 in cash up front to Vancouver, Washington, specifically to that same McDonald's, and deliver it to a man named Marcus, wearing, no surprise, a red hat.
What if he really does have her, and I can bring her home?
You should stick with the crew, behind the camera, with the crew.
To unravel just what's going on with this mystery, Katie agreed to work with 2020 to set up a sting operation.
Katie and I are going to be in one vehicle.
Just like Laura did 2 weeks earlier, she arranges a meeting to drop off the money in Vancouver at that McDonald's.
There are booths over here.
Katie, you said this morning that they sent you a text message.
They will be sending Marcus.
Okay, they're both rolling now.
I would be going to this rendezvous with Katie, but wearing a hidden camera. As we walk into the McDonald's at the appointed meet time, we quickly spot Marcus, the man in the red hat, and walk over to him. Katie was instructed not to ask any questions, so I told Marcus, hey, the money is in the trunk of a car parked outside.
Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. We're about 10 seconds away.
Meanwhile, I was waiting outside with our camera team and a security guard in case this thing went sideways.
Okay, let's get ready.
As they head out to the parking lot, before the trunk is opened, I walk over to Marcus. I want to get some answers.
Marcus, Ryan Smith, ABC News. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Why'd you come here to take $25,000 from Katie?
I don't know.
You don't know why you're here to take $25,000 from Katie?
Nope.
What are you here for?
Oh, to collect some money.
You see, Marcus claims he was suckered too, lured online into a supposed jewelry venture. He says he was supposed to pick up the money and then wire it to someone he's never met.
So a random guy tells you to go to McDonald's twice in less than 2 weeks to meet people to pick up money, and you don't think anything of it?
I didn't think none of it.
We were told that you were going to deliver Megan to Katie today. Is that true?
I have no idea about no Megan or no kidnapping or anything like that.
This would be a scheme to extort money from families who have family members that are missing.
I didn't know nothing of this. I had no clue
Anybody was supposed to be exchanging nothing for a human being. If I did know, I would not have been involved in this situation.
So you've been here twice, coming to pick up money at a McDonald's. Your name is attached to this.
Just feel shaky inside.
I had no clue.
It's important that you be real honest with
Yeah,
me.
I'm real honest.
You have never heard of Kelsey Schelling.
Never.
Definitely a big scam. I want to know who's behind it.
But an FBI analysis of the emailer's Facebook page showed it used an IP address traced all the way to Russia.
In most scams, they're compartmentalized. So the person you may send to pick up the cash at a particular location may know nothing about what the scam is.
Then that's just 100% clarification that, you know, this is just some dirtbags out there, you know, trying to get money off of these poor families.
But while the extortion plot that was torturing Laura was laid to rest, the roller coaster ride wasn't over. A sympathetic stranger who feels for Laura comes up with a shocking plan to go undercover on her own and befriend Dante to try to find the truth about what happened to Kelsey.
I knew that I was potentially putting myself into danger.
Dante Lucas?
And when we go to get some answers from Dante, she was right there with him.
What do you have to say to her family?
Even though Laura Saxton lives hundreds of miles away from Pueblo, Colorado, the news about her years-long crusade to find her missing daughter continued to resonate with folks living there.
Our top story tonight, the search for Kelsey Schelling. Today, law enforcement following new leads in the case.
We're going to keep coming up with ideas. I mean, we're trying everything.
I felt really heartbroken for her. As a mom, I couldn't even begin to fathom knowing that your child's out there.
It's spring of 2016 when Lauren Shore, a single mom living near Pueblo, says Laura's story inspired her to hatch an audacious plan of her own. Make Facebook friends with Dante Lucas, gain his trust, and meet up with him in real life, and just maybe help solve the mystery of what happened to Kelsey.
Definitely was nerve-wracking, but I felt like I could do it. So I had messaged him on Facebook, and I told him that I was looking to meet new friends. He responded fairly quickly, within, I say, a couple of hours.
Lauren was eventually able to get Dante to meet her in person. When we shot this footage of Dante playing basketball in 2016, Lauren was there with him. She says it was only the second time they'd ever met.
We had went to a basketball court to just play around, shoot some hoops, and that's when a man with a camera came up to us.
Dante Lucas, I'm with ABC News 2020. The family of Kelsey says you're responsible for her disappearance. Is that true?
Who's Kelsey? I freaked out. I had to play the role that I didn't know what was happening, so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, what is happening?
What's happening right now?
And he kind of just shut down and was like, I'll tell you about it later on. Don't freak out. It's okay. None of this is true.
As the weeks go by, Lauren says she's able to develop a close relationship with Dante.
We just hang around the family, watch movies, drink a little bit. He always smelt of alcohol. He comes off as very cocky, I feel like. He feels like he's just the man, and he can't do no wrong.
Just as she'd planned, Lauren says she got Dante to open up, to trust her enough. The time finally seemed right to ask him about Kelsey.
There was only a certain amount of period of time that he would talk about it. 1 minute, he had no involvement, he had nothing to do with it, and then he would just shut down and start crying hysterically and get really upset.
But Lauren says something very unexpected happened with Dante. Her undercover relationship with him blossomed into romance.
I felt like he did genuinely develop feelings for me and did genuinely fall in love with me. He has this way about him that makes you just feel so sorry for him. In the back of my mind, I always kept that he is potentially a murderer.
Lauren says her relationship with Dante continued for about a year, but then something happened. There was an incident outside his house that made her realize she was in way over her head.
He's like, I want you to marry me. And he showed me the ring. I took the ring. At that point, I was kind of like done because I didn't want to get in any deeper than I had already gotten into.
Despite all the efforts of this clandestine girlfriend, her work doesn't seem to be paying off, and the clock just keeps ticking for Laura Saxton. She's not any closer to knowing the truth about what happened to Kelsey.
I wasn't happy at all with how things were going, and I mean, that's one big reason why I wanted to do the first story with you guys. Was I was hoping that that would somehow bring something out into the light.
Tonight on 2020, when do you stop looking for a pregnant daughter who's vanished?
In May of 2016, our first 2020 program on the Kelsey Schelling case hits the airwaves. The very day of our broadcast, there's a big announcement regarding the investigation into Kelsey's disappearance. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation was going to join the case.
That was news to me, so I was kind of like, oh my God, this is awesome.
I think once that 2020 special aired, it really turned up the heat on Pueblo police and on this case.
Taking over the case, Pueblo Police Department Commander Eric Bravo and CBI agent Kevin Torres. Working together, they moved fast, turning it from a missing persons case into a full-blown criminal investigation.
It was a homicide investigation in our eyes, so I immediately started working on setting a plan into motion how we wanted to proceed.
Police got a tip that led them to believe Schelling's body might be in Dante's backyard.
It's not long before police dig up the yard of the house where Dante and his family had been staying.
So we thought, man, you know, we really have something. But it went from elation to satisfaction. You know, that day it just seemed like we were there, and then it slipped away.
During the investigation, Agent Torres finds out about Dante's relationship with Lawrence Shore. When he interviews Shore, she reveals that Dante had made a key admission to her about Kelsey's disappearance. And it's about that Walmart surveillance video of the mystery man walking over to her car and then driving off with it.
She confirmed for us Dante admitting it was him in the Walmart surveillance video. She also informed us that Dante admitted to her dropping Kelsey's car off at St. Mary Corwin Hospital. The piece of information that Lauren provided to us was a pretty crucial piece at that point.
Then, in late 2017, there's a huge development that will totally transform the case. A Pueblo man tells police that Dante and other family members had attacked him in front of their home and stolen $1,000 from him. Now that gives police a reason to arrest Dante.
I had information that Dante was leaving Pueblo and was heading to DIA, where he seemingly intended to board a flight to Tucson. And the concern was that he may take other efforts to meet friends in Mexico.
Boy, the anxiety level was high, the tension was high.
The time was ticking away, and the tires were turning on the road. And Dante was within 20 minutes of getting on a plane for Tucson, Arizona, when he was arrested.
When he was arrested, there was hope across the community that maybe investigators would finally get some answers in this case.
We decided that the next day would be the day that we would send a couple detectives back in to try and answer some of the questions that we didn't have answered.
During his interrogation, Dante finally breaks down and comes clean, confirming Lawrence Shore's account that he was the one seen in that Walmart video.
So that information that he confirmed that that was him was huge.
You see, it was that admission, combined with the wealth of evidence from text messages, cell phone records, and surveillance video already gathered, all of that was enough for prosecutors to move forward.
At the end of the day, I said, I think we have enough here to go forward. I ethically believe that Dante Lucas killed Kelsey Schelling, and I think we have the evidence to prove it.
A major development, the ex-boyfriend of a pregnant Denver woman who went missing 4 years ago.
He now faces charges of first-degree murder.
How were you thinking as his trial approached? Are you thinking justice will be done?
I put a lot of things on hold because I just was, sure it was going to happen and, wanted to be ready to go.
So after 8 years, Dante Lucas is finally in court, and the prosecution has a surprise witness.
That just took the whole room's breath away. No one saw that coming. This story became such a big deal here in Pueblo because people want answers and they haven't gotten any for 8 years.
Dante Lucas, the Pueblo man accused of murdering his pregnant ex-girlfriend Kelsey Schelling nearly 8 years ago, is headed to trial tomorrow.
Did I think it was going to be a tough case? Absolutely. And we well may not win it. But I owe it to the family. I think I owe it to Kelsey to go forward and try this case.
KRDO News Channel 13's Dan Beatty has been following this case and the trial for more than 2 years.
I was anticipating there to just be a mad rush of reporters who were going to try to get into the courtroom. I was very worried that I might not even get a seat. You could feel the anticipation. When I saw Laura Saxton walk into the judicial building, you could tell this was a day she's been waiting for a long time.
Denver 7's Liz Gilardi in Pueblo today for opening statements. Liz, you have been with this case every step of the way now for all these years.
The prosecution simply started out and they said, this is not a missing persons case, this is a homicide case.
The case that the prosecution was making right off the jump was, one, they were going to prove through text messages and surveillance video that Dante Lucas has to be the one responsible for Kelsey Schelling's death.
These were two people in a relationship. Kelsey Schelling became pregnant. Dante Lucas didn't want to have a baby. And he made sure that didn't happen.
I know that she had mentioned Kelsey Schelling's Chevy Cruze.
The prosecution said this car tells a story, and they told the jurors that you will see Dante Lucas moving this car around Pueblo in the days after she went missing.
The idea that someone can essentially disappear without a trace, I think, is kind of a counterintuitive thought for people to have.
Prosecutors think there's enough evidence to convict Lucas even without a body, but the defense disagrees.
In the opening statements, the defense said this is a missing persons case. This has always been a missing persons case. They said there's no body, there's no evidence. Why should you believe that Dante Lucas killed her?
They do not have a crime scene. They do not have a murder weapon.
Today, the jury got a detailed look at some of the text messages exchanged between them.
For the prosecutors, their goal was to show that those text messages showed intent, showed that Dante Lucas consistently lied, not only to investigators, but to Laura Saxton herself.
What they refer to as his luring of Kelsey Schelling to Pueblo.
The prosecution say that he lured her there to end her life.
We know that that's his phone. He admitted to those text messages. We know that that's his thoughts and feelings about it. That's direct evidence.
And the movements of their phones as well, as they were pinging off cell phone towers in Pueblo on the night of February 4th and the early morning hours of February 5th. I think that a lot of the case really centered around those movements.
Two pivotal witnesses testified in the high-profile Pueblo murder case against Dante Lucas.
First witness was Laura Saxton, and we were not expecting Laura Saxton to be the first one to take the stand. She didn't break down, but you can tell she's hurting. There's a lot of pain behind her voice.
I think that was really powerful for the jury to see. Her mom spoke to the fact that she absolutely wanted this baby.
Prosecutors today painted Kelsey Schelling as an excited mother-to-be, desperate to make it work with her boyfriend.
It didn't take long for the prosecutors to swing for the fences, calling some pretty shocking witnesses to the stand.
Ryan Rivera is a former Pueblo County inmate who considered himself to be a friend of Dante Lucas.
And when he took the stand, he said that Dante Lucas told him that they're never going to find Kelsey Schelling's body. That just took the whole room's breath away.
Ryan Rivera, he was the only person who came forward over the duration of this trial that really said, Dante told me he did this.
I wasn't in the courtroom, but well, jailhouse snitch on its face is just not credible. I mean, that's the assumption that we believe jurors have, and it's the assumption we have as defense lawyers. Why would this person do it? What's the benefit? What's the motive?
There was no deals made about charges he would get to plead to, time he would get to serve. There was no deals like that.
There were a lot of names on the prosecutor's list that I was shocked by. but Sarah Lucas certainly topped that list.
When you saw that Sarah Lucas was on the prosecution's side, everyone wondered, what is she going to say?
The one important thing that I've kind of mentioned, she confirmed that Daunte was the last person left alone with Kelsey.
The prosecution painted a picture of a troubled relationship.
Some of Kelsey's close friends testified. They pointed toward elements of domestic abuse in Kelsey and Daunte's relationship.
Something worth pointing out was the prosecution and even the defense made it clear that Daunte was using Kelsey for a number of things. For her money, Daunte used Kelsey for her apartment in Denver, and Daunte used Kelsey for her car. And his argument was, she lets me do it. The defense pushed the narrative that Kelsey Schelling popped pills, was an addict, that Kelsey, when she left Daunte Lucas at the Southside Walmart here in Pueblo, that she was going to meet up with a drug dealer.
There's no single person, other than the defendant in 2017, who's saying that she was into drugs and that she was a party girl.
You didn't have the forensic evidence. It seemed like you were really relying on circumstantial evidence and the evidence of snitches and these other witnesses. That's pretty straightforward. Either you believe them or you don't.
The witness list yields more surprises. The ones who make it to court.
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down.
And the ones who didn't.
Witness 31-year-old Roxanne Martinez was found shot to death.
That was a completely unforeseen development in this case.
Breaking on Denver 7, a key witness in the Kelsey Schelling murder trial found dead.
That witness, 31-year-old Roxanne Martinez, was found shot to death in Denver last week.
These are still very stunning developments.
Roxanne Martinez, a witness for the prosecution, who was set to testify soon.
That was just an absolutely, completely unforeseen development in this case. People were reeling when that news broke.
Denver police officers were called to a residential area in southeast Denver on a report of an unresponsive female who was lying in the roadway. We determined that that individual had been shot one time and died from that injury.
Her dad is in shock, her mom, her stepmom. It's just tragic all the way around.
I think when a witness in any major case turns up dead directly before they're set to testify, I think, of course, people are going to think, was she killed because she was going to testify?
Denver police arrested a suspect in Martinez's killing, 29-year-old Emmanuel Chandler. Chandler has been charged with first-degree murder, but he hasn't entered a plea yet.
We don't have any connection between Mr. Chandler and Mr. Lucas or anybody associated with that trial.
Our concern was to make sure that people understood that while she was an endorsed witness, I couldn't comment on her testimony.
Nobody knows what Roxanne Martinez was going to say on the stand for sure, with the exception of maybe the investigators who talked to her.
But while prosecutors say they can't discuss what Roxanne Martinez would have said on the stand, 2020 has uncovered some revealing details about her. You see, back in March of 2016, a woman named Roxanne had reached out to Laura Saxton through that Help Find Kelsey Facebook page. Roxanne messaged that she used to date the guy Kelsey was pregnant with, and he told me what had happened and started crying.
I'm instantly like mixed emotions, like, okay, are you going for the reward or, you know, are you for real?
When Laura asked, do you know where Kelsey is located? Roxanne replied, he told me everything. Yes, I do.
Basically, her information sounded very good and very promising, and so we really wanted to meet with her.
This mysterious woman agreed to meet Laura and her husband at a Mexican restaurant in Denver.
We were actually on our way there, and I tried to reach her by phone to let her know we were coming. She said that she was in the hospital and couldn't meet us. That was kind of the extent of what I really remember. And then, you know, past that, then, you know, that was all turned over to law enforcement to look into further.
Authorities say that woman was the same Roxanne who was killed during the trial.
I can confirm that CBI followed up and interviewed her. that we did have her as an endorsed witness that we wanted to testify during trial. The thing that I'm steering clear from is I just don't want to talk about evidence that wasn't actually admitted during trial.
Martinez's killing shakes up the trial and threatens to overshadow the testimony of another prosecution witness who had a remarkable story to tell. It's none other than Lauren Shore, that woman who befriended Dante as part of a plan to try to find out what happened to Kelsey.
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down, and that was realistically why I wanted to testify.
Shore testifies about Dante's critical admission to her, that he was the mysterious figure seen picking up Kelsey's car after it sat overnight in a Walmart parking lot.
I said, so that must have meant that you had dropped the car off at the hospital, correct? And that's when he said, yes, that was him that dropped the car off.
When the defense cross-examined Shore, they attack her credibility and her motives, at one point characterizing her as a sex informant because she had a physical relationship with Dante.
It's fair game, and if you're going to put yourself out there like she did and sleep with someone, the jury ought to know about that. You're having intimate conversations, and that casts a lot of suspicion on her as a witness.
The sex informant part really bothered me because I wasn't having sex with Dante to get answers out of him. I was playing my part and role as girlfriend. So to me, to be called such was really degrading.
On the very last day of its case, the prosecution played an interrogation video of Dante confirming Shore's account.
The clip that I played at the beginning of my closing was his phrase to detectives, "I lied from the jump. I moved the car." I wanted the jury to hear the defendant, in his own words, say, "I lied."
When it's the defense's turn to present its case, they raise a lot of eyebrows in court.
The defense didn't call a single witness to the stand. The defense immediately rested their case. And it was just another moment where your jaw hit the floor.
The burden of proof is on the government. It's simply messaging in a very strong way to the jury, they haven't done it. It's not guilty. So it's a strong message.
There was just really not a lot of hard forensic evidence to go off of. So as far as, what evidence they put forth to court that was irrefutable, that Dante Lucas killed Kelsey Schelling, I never saw that.
After a shocking final day of the trial, the jury was going to deliberate, and I had no idea what was going to happen at that point.
I think everybody was just like holding their breath.
Prosecution and defense have given closing arguments. The jury is now deliberating.
Well, on that last day of the trial, no one expected to get a verdict that day.
So now the waiting begins.
Yes. And I was prepared to camp out at the courthouse as long as I had to. I really thought I would be there all week, and we're really totally unprepared for when they came and told us the verdict was in. I think we all were just like, oh my God.
I mean, it was shocking how quickly they arrived at their decision, especially given just the amount of information they had to look at.
I can tell you, because the decision came back so early, all of our experience as prosecutors is that this was probably an acquittal, because juries tend to come to decisions more quickly on acquittals than convictions.
It was like standing on the precipice of a cliff and looking down. It was scary.
It was a very tense atmosphere in the courthouse while everyone was waiting to hear what the verdict was.
Even I was nervous, and I'm not affiliated with Kelsey Schelling's family at all.
People were wondering, does that mean Dante Lucas is going to walk?
I think everybody was just like holding their breath almost.
And then, when you hear the verdict, tell me how you're feeling.
Well, the words came out way too slow. Like, I feel like the judge was talking in slow-mo, even though he wasn't. I mean, I was just like, every word, it's like, okay, spit it out, please. And then he finally got to, guilty of first degree, and I think that was the first breath like I had taken in a long time.
This is a guilty verdict, 8 years in the
Bad situation that didn't have to end up like this if he had just let her come home.
You mentioned it was a lot of emotions for both sides. Did you find yourself looking over at their side?
Dante was sitting right in front of me. I looked at the back of his head through the whole trial. But, you know, the mother of his child was there, and she broke down, and honestly, my heart hurt for her, hurt for their child, because it didn't have to end up this way.
Ryan Rivera's testimony was the biggest bombshell for our trial. It had moved us all. I could hear the gasps even in the masks of fellow jurors.
When it came out that he was convicted, I think there was a great feeling of satisfaction and relief, not elation. You know, you have to look at it from this side too. Mr. Lucas is a young man, and he was convicted of a criminal crime that shapes his life for however long he lives. I think it's every parent's worst nightmare that a child goes before you, and you can never fully heal that wound. I can tell you, I almost lost a child in the early 80s. And so I had a lot of sympathy with Laura and her family because I came that close to that tragedy. And that child was the lead prosecutor on this case.
So the elected DA is my dad, and Kyle McCarthy, who was obviously on the case with me, is my husband. And we, I don't think, had a night in the last 4 years that we haven't gone home and talked about Kelsey Schelling. Sometimes it's the first thing we talk about when we wake up. Sometimes it's the last thing we talk about before we go to sleep.
On Saturdays when we're driving kids around to soccer, a lot of times we're being told to stop talking about it because they can hear us in the front seat talking about it.
We both also had, and I mean, an incredible emotional pull to the family. That is a very special relationship, one that I will value for the rest of my life.
Well, I think, I mean, Michelle and Kyle with their closing, they're amazing. I don't even know what other words to use.
The first things that she told the reporters outside of the courthouse after the guilty verdict, yes, she was happy, but she was still devastated.
So we're very, very thankful for this outcome. But in the end, I didn't get Kelsey back. And that's what I wanted more than anything. So I feel like I didn't do something, I didn't push hard enough on something, or I didn't look enough on something to bring her home.
That devastation isn't going anywhere. Like she said, she has to live with that forever.
Her goal throughout all of this was to bring Kelsey home, give her a proper burial. So I know she had expressed that in some ways she felt like she had failed in her main mission.
I think the investigative team has some ideas where she may rest.
If that's where she is, that's just like the worst possibility to me.
That very first day that we met in September of 2016. I'll never forget it like it was yesterday, and it was just a special bond that we formed.
Kelsey's mom just battled and battled and battled.
8 years, I was hoping that it would never take this long. I grabbed my mother very tight and held her very close, holding on to my dad's hands.
Since the trial's over, it's because and Kelsey still hasn't been found, so but yeah, I've just felt very empty this past week.
Doesn't feel final because we still don't know where Kelsey is, and we still don't know exactly what happened.
It turns out that prosecutors did present troubling evidence from the night Kelsey disappeared. That evidence provided a possible explanation to where her body could be.
We received information from the Pueblo landfill that there was some video evidence of a vehicle being there. You couldn't see what kind of vehicle. You couldn't tell who was in the car. Their lock to their front gate into the dump had been tampered with.
Well, it caught my attention when I grabbed the lock on my hand, and I said, well, somebody tried to get in here overnight.
The cell phone records, the pings were all out in that area. So, we suspected that's what happened.
If you heard the testimony of the landfill expert, it would be next to impossible to just find a body just by conducting a search of the landfill.
Who wants that for their child to be the final resting place? No one.
We want to bring her justice and bring her home with us, her and Kadri both. Kadri, that was the name that she was going to give the child.
I'm never going to recover without getting her back. And so I still have nowhere to go to take her flowers, to go sit and talk with her, take her balloons on her birthday, go to see her on the holidays.
Hi, Cal. Hi, Cocoa Bean.
How do you want her to be remembered?
A little girl with a really big heart, a really big smile, a really big laugh, beautiful eyes, silly. She was so silly. I miss being silly with her. I miss all the things that we didn't get to do together.
We've been covering this story for more than 5 years now, and as you can see, the heartbreak never really stops for Kelsey's mom and the entire Schelling family.
And Dante Lucas's defense team declined to comment for our program, but it is likely they will file an appeal.
In the meantime, that is 2020 for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Amy Robach. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Please welcome Rodney Alcala.
I'll take one.
Bachelor number one.
It was one of the most famous dating shows ever.
Looking back, it is chilling to realize that this iconic show would unknowingly feature a remorseless killer.
The horror story begins.
I remember wanting to jump out of the car.
The so-called dating game killer is one of the country's most notorious criminals, but one most people have never heard of.
He had sociopathic personality traits. He had no shame.
He walks up and down the streets and asks people if he could take their picture.
What better place to be a sexual predator than go to a feeding frenzy like New York?
She'd been strangled with nylon stockings.
It's the talk of the town.
Rodney Alcala has murdered at least 5 women. The FBI put Rodney Alcala on the 10 most wanted list.
Oh my God, will Alcala get away with it?
The body count is piling up. He goes on the hunt for more victims, and there's absolutely nothing to stop him.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was her downfall. My sister Christine was born Christine Ruth Thornton, but we always called her Chris. She was 11 years older than me. Chris was tall. She was 5'10", dark hair, dark eyes, just, a beautiful person inside and out. In the summer of '77, Chris was just 27 years old. Chris was in San Antonio. She was pregnant at the time.
Christine was a free spirit. She kind of went where the wind blew her.
She met up with her boyfriend and, had this crazy idea of going to Montana to pan for gold.
And My understanding is that they were in southwest Wyoming and had an argument ensued between the two of them, and he left her pregnant and alone, and I believe that's the last time anybody had ever seen her.
In the summer of '78, I decided to go down to San Antonio and do some investigating of my own. I actually tried to find her boyfriend, but did not have a good address for him. The San Antonio police refused to take a missing persons report on Chris because she was an adult.
I believe throughout all the years that Christine was missing, I think Kathy was always looking for a way to open up that door of where she is. In '82, this herder out in the middle of nowhere comes across a pile of bones, obviously human remains.
What they found was it was a body of a 25 to 35-year-old female. Along with her bones were also bones of an infant.
There wasn't any identification, and so we remained cold for many years.
And investigators never imagined that those bones would lead them to a notorious serial killer, a man I would later be called upon to prosecute. And this photograph, discovered by police, would lead a heartbroken family to their loved one missing for almost 40 years. Her smile shared by a tragic list of young women and girls who trusted a charming stranger, only to discover a dark secret that began back in the fall of 1968.
So '68 was tumultuous. It was sort of flower power, free living. It was quite a era and quite a year.
Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy had been assassinated. Andy Warhol was shot that year. And there have been urban uprisings throughout the 60s.
Being a police officer in Los Angeles or anywhere in the country for that matter at that time, everything was anti-war, anti-establishment.
And it's commented on by some of the leading vocalists of the day. You had Barry McGuire in 1965 doing Eve of Destruction.
Eastern world, it is exploding.
You had Bob Dylan, of course, doing Hard Rain's Gonna Fall.
Hard rain's gonna fall.
So what we're seeing is the influence of the new freedoms represented by the counterculture be appropriated by mainstream culture. And that includes daytime television. That even includes game shows like The Dating Game.
The Dating Game began with Chuck Barris back in, I believe it was 1965. He had dealings with ABC, and he just came up
Or herself and have a fantastic time. They're all partying at some of the hotels on the Strip, like the Chateau Marmont.
Tali Shapiro was an 8-year-old little girl who lived at Chateau Marmont, which is a famous hotel in California.
Her father was a music industry executive. She had a mother and a sister and a brother. And they were living there because their house had gone on fire. And they were staying there temporarily. And a car pulls up alongside of her.
And it's this man who says, "Oh, it's okay, I'm not a stranger. I know your parents. I'm friends with your parents."
And she thought, well, maybe I'll get in the car.
Well, fortunately, a good citizen looks at this and says, I don't like the looks of this.
Tali Shapiro was 8 years old, and it was a beautiful sunny day in September.
And this adorable little girl would skip to school each morning, carefree, loving, wearing her little white Mary Janes. And then the horror story of Tali begins.
I remember the morning was nice and warm because I wore the dress that my nanny had crocheted for me.
And a car pulls up alongside of her, and the man leans out and says, I have a beautiful picture I'd like to show you.
And I guess asked if I needed to ride to school. And I told him I didn't talk to strangers.
And he pulled up alongside of her a little further, kept trolling her.
And that's when he told me he knew my parents. And I really didn't want to get in the car, but I was raised to respect my elders. I got in the car, that's when he asked what time my school started, and then that's when he realized we had plenty of time and he was going to swing by and show me a poster. You know, I didn't know to fear people.
Well, fortunately, a good citizen looks at this and says, I don't like the looks of this. And he actually follows him to his apartment.
The moment I felt danger was when he wanted to go by his place. And I remember wanting to jump out of the car.
So the Good Samaritan, he actually followed the car to a residence where the man took the little girl out of the car and walked her inside, and that didn't look right.
And he calls the police. He says, you know, this is real hinky looking. I don't like it. There's this little girl. You know, I think you ought to check it out.
I don't remember going up to the apartment, and I don't remember anything after that.
I was driving down Sunset heading toward West Hollywood when I received a call to go see a man about a possible kidnapping. I followed him over to the location. At that time, I thought, okay, I better call in for a backup. So I went and called in and requested a backup unit. I went to the front door and started knocking. I could hear someone running around.
So the man came and he opened up the curtains a little bit and peered out and said, oh, sorry, I was in the shower. I'll be right there.
I see this male person on the other side, no clothes, not dripping with water, no towel. And I said, oh, okay, you need to open the door right now, I need to come in. And he said, wait, let me put my pants on. And I said, okay, you got 3 seconds. I probably waited 5 seconds and I kicked the door in. To the right was a dining room, to the left was a living room, and straight ahead was a kitchen. And here was this little girl, blood all over the place, clothes, shoes, and a dress thrown to one side. There was coins on the floor, and she had this steel bar across her neck, which probably weighed 2 pounds.
And there's an image that I will never forget. It's an image of this pipe used to strangle her with, essentially. Press it against her throat, and more blood than should ever be able to come out of a little 8-year-old girl next to these Mary Jane shoes on the floor of this kitchen.
I looked at her, I thought she was dead, she wasn't breathing. The other officers came around, we were looking for the suspect. I went back to check on Telly, and I just couldn't leave her there like that.
The officer had a sort of a life or death decision to make. Chase this man out the back and catch him, or render life-saving aid to the little girl and save her life. And he chose the little girl.
And as I went back in the kitchen, she started gagging, Telly. So then that put everything into high gear. But when I was yelling, the officer that was covering the back door thought I was asking for help. So he ran to the front to help me. We later found out the suspect escaped through the back door.
Telly was bleeding out, literally clinging to life. Fortunately, there was already an ambulance racing to the scene.
Tally arrived in the emergency room, and the doctor said there was no chance of saving her. And after she had been taken by the ambulance, they started looking around the apartment to see if there were any clues as to who the person was.
I found his ID. We determined he was a student at UCLA in the photography department.
And the name of the man who attended UCLA was Rodney Alcala.
They searched that house, and there are references in reports of hundreds and hundreds of photographs of young women and boys in various stages of dress, in various stages of vulnerability that were in Rodney Alcala's possession.
We had to find this Rodney Alcala. We had to get him off the street, because if he would do that to a little 8-year-old girl. There's no telling what he would do.
You know, it was just by, sheer luck that Tally didn't die. She should have died, but she didn't.
She was in a coma for 32 days. Nobody thought that she would survive, and miraculously, she pulled through.
She was able to get back on her feet after several months in the hospital.
My parents mentioned nothing. It was never brought up. It was never spoken about. I remember walking into my classroom and everyone looking at me like I was supposed to be dead.
And her parents had just had enough. They could not stay in California another minute.
They moved out of the country shortly after that. They moved to Mexico. The father wanted to give her a better, safer environment to live in.
And that's where they stayed for the next many years.
Rodney Alcala has gotten away, and now he's fled, and nobody knows where he's gone.
I was a police officer with LAPD. This was one of my very first cases, actually, and it was 4 or 5 months old at that time, and he was in the wind. I went out and interviewed a number of his professors at UCLA. One of the things they told me is, you got the wrong guy. Rod Alcala is a super guy. He wouldn't hurt a flea. Really nice guy.
Police wanted to know, who is Rodney Alcala, and why would this well-liked 25-year-old college student so viciously attack an 8-year-old little girl?
This is San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo.
Rodney Alcala was born Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bucur on August 23, 1943, in San Antonio, Texas. He had an older brother, Raul. He had an older sister, and then he had a younger sister.
His family lived in Mexico for a while.
The grandma passed away, and the father left the family.
They ended up moving to Los Angeles area to Monterey Park. He had everything he wanted, Alcala. He went to Catholic schools, he went to, private schools.
Everyone who knew him said he was a kind boy, a respectful boy, and highly intelligent.
Rodney Alcala had every advantage that somebody could have in life. He had a mother who loved him, which is a big deal psychologically. He had friends. He had brothers and sisters who all turned out to be very successful.
His older brother was already at West Point, so this is a pretty, patriotic family.
And then he joined the Army in the early 60s, and that's where the trouble really began for Rodney Alcala.
So Alcala didn't fare well in the Army. He went AWOL a few times, got in some trouble.
As it turns out, this bright, handsome young man with the promising future had nightmarish urges that he refused to ignore.
So 1963, gets a pass from the military. He ultimately goes to New York. While in New York, he assaults a girl. He hits her over the head with a Coke bottle. That girl was able to run away.
He had sociopathic personality traits. He had no shame, and he didn't, feel guilty about anything that he did.
The military felt that he had had a nervous breakdown. That was their analysis of it. The psychiatrists at the hospital felt it was a lot more serious than that. But he was discharged honorably, and not a blemish on his record.
So he ends up coming back to California, where he enrolls in the UCLA Fine Arts program as a photography major.
So Rodney Alcala is actually attending UCLA and living less than a mile away from Chateau Marmont when he attacks Tally Shapiro in 1968, and then seems to vanish.
I was pretty much convinced he'd gone to Mexico, because he had relatives in Mexico.
So it's been 3 years now since the rape of Tally Shapiro. The FBI eventually became interested in the case and put Rodney Alcala on the 10 most wanted list.
So I get a phone call, and it's the FBI in New Hampshire. Say, hey, we've got your guy in custody, Rodney James Alcala.
It seemed like an open and shut case, but it was just the beginning of what would become a pattern of catch and release that would continue for more than a decade.
While the FBI is on the hunt for Rodney Alcala, he's actually living on the East Coast under an assumed name, John Berger.
So in 1968, John Berger walks into NYU and applies to their School of the Arts. So there he was in New York, a fugitive, now for 3 years.
What better place to be a sexual predator than go to a feeding frenzy like New York?
So New York in the early 70s is certainly, from the civic standpoint, rather challenged. It's Mayor Lindsay's second term. He's having a hard time delivering services to people. Snow removal, garbage. Police feel like they're under siege. Crime is certainly up, violent crime.
And it's during this crime wave in New York City that Alcala is able to fly under the radar, and he strikes again.
Cornelia Crilly grew up in Queens. She had 2 sisters and 2 brothers, Catholic family, very well respected in the neighborhood, had a very happy childhood.
She was beautiful. She had long, beautiful Irish hair and Irish eyes, big smile, very friendly and funny.
A few years after high school, Cornelia met Dream Man, Leon Borstein, and they began dating.
I was 29 or 30. She was probably 23 at the time.
She wanted to become a TWA stewardess. At that time, they were known as ambassadors to the world and had a lot of prestige. And once she was accepted, she got an apartment with a couple of her stewardess friends on East 83rd Street.
In fact, in the east side of Manhattan, an area becomes known as the Girl Belt because for the first time, young women are living on their own and experiencing their careers as they never had in the past.
I had gotten a job in a Brooklyn DA's office. So in the middle of the day, I got a call from her mother saying she couldn't find her. I said, okay, when I leave, I'll go find her. I'm sure she's at the apartment.
Mrs. Crilly was trying to get in touch with her daughter, and she didn't answer the phone.
She was living in a building where I could go into the building without a key. I knocked on the door, and there was no response. That's when I called the cops. And they came over. I was at the front door when they broke into the back window. They opened the door. They told me that she had been killed.
She was down on the floor of her New York apartment. She had been strangled with nylon stockings and also had bite marks on her breast. She'd been raped and brutally murdered.
We got a call from the police department that somebody still had to identify the body. So I went over to the morgue.
The Crilly case is very unique because she just moved in the apartment. She's a new girl. No one knew her. So that was a drawback for the detectives in the beginning.
New York PD has this brutal crime scene and no suspects.
We had almost 2,000 murders that year. It wasn't peace, love, and joy. Detectives had a lot of dead ends with this case. They had nothing, unfortunately, and the case went cold.
Well, still enrolled as a student at NYU, Rodney Alcala, AKA John Berger, actually spent his summers as a counselor at an arts camp in New Hampshire.
So in August of 1971, 2 campers take the little dirt road down to the post office, and all of a sudden it starts pouring. They run inside the post office to get cover, and they start looking around to see what is in the post office.
And there's the good old FBI 10 Most Wanted list.
They go from one to the next to the next. Each one looks more horrible than the preceding one.
They look at this and they're like, hey, that's Mr. Berger.
So they go back to the camp and they tell the head counselor, we saw this 10 Most Wanted poster of somebody who looks like our John Berger. So he said, don't say anything to anyone and I'll go down to the post office and take a look. So he comes back, he calls the FBI, and he says, I think we have your man.
I get a phone call and it's the FBI in New Hampshire. Say, hey, we've got your guy in custody, Rodney James Alcala. I said, you've got him in custody. Fantastic.
This has been 3 years that Alcala has been on the lam and that Hodel has been looking for him.
So on the 12th of August, 1971, I, with a partner, picked him up, took him to the airport, flew him back. We got our guy. You know, he's going to prison for at least 20, 30 years. Parents didn't want Tali to testify. They said it would be too traumatic.
So I think the big fear was, oh my God, you know, will Alcala get away with it?
And what's dangerous in the case of a sociopath is they're very persuasive.
1971, Rodney Alcala is arrested in New Hampshire and brought back to LA to finally face charges for the rape and attempted murder of Tali Shapiro.
He was very low-key, kind of came off a bit introverted, but I could see his mind functioning. And that's what made this guy so dangerous. He was able to read people very well and stay a step or two or three ahead of them. For him, it was all a kind of a chess game.
Rodney Alcala is charged with all the crimes against Tali Shapiro, which included kidnapping, rape, child molestation, and torture.
It turns out that because Tali and her family were in Mexico, the only charge they could put on him was a plea deal for child molestation. No brutality, no bashing, no raping, no almost killing.
And they wound up giving Rodney Alcala a plea deal where he pled to what's known as an indeterminate sentence. He had 1 year to life in California State Prison.
With an indeterminate sentence, it's sliding, it's not determined. And then the parole board has more flexibility in determining whether someone's been rehabilitated or whether they're a danger to the community. This meant that Rodney Alcala would have yearly parole reviews. And what's dangerous in the case of a sociopath is they're very persuasive.
And he's getting therapy in prison, and they believe that he has shown enough progress that in 34 months, the California Parole Board released Rodney Alcala back into the world.
Not even 3 years. Good behavior, they said. Model prisoner, they said. And he was out on the streets again.
The heartbreaking part about this is that they could have kept him, but in those days, that was an era where they believed so strongly in the power of therapy. But when it comes to fixing psychopaths, it doesn't work.
So Alcala is the luckiest man in the world. He's out on parole, and he's having the best time. He's photographing people, and he one day decides to take a ride, and he starts strolling again.
True to form, 2 months later, Rodney Alcala is caught smoking marijuana on the cliffs of Sunset Beach in Huntington Beach with a 13-year-old girl. And he was caught by park rangers.
So he gets arrested yet again. And this time, he gets 2.5 years, and he's taken to prison.
In June 1977, Rodney Alcala is released again from California State Prison, and he goes in, different parole officer this time, and he asks for permission to go on some vacations.
And the parole officer miraculously says, sure, go ahead. So Rodney heads off to New York. July 1977 in New York was a difficult time for everyone. It was hot, it was steamy, the garbage wasn't being collected.
When you used to read the newspaper, Daily News or the Post, the first 20 pages are just violence, 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 every day.
There were a lot of murders going on, including Son of Sam.
During the time of Son of Sam in 1977, the city was afraid. Look, you had a lunatic running around shooting men and women in cars.
Police in New York are on special alert tonight for a psychopathic killer who calls himself Son of Sam.
His favorite targets, young white women with long dark hair.
During that time, Alcala is taking a lot of photographs. He walks up and down the streets and asks people if he can take their picture. Young boys, young girls, older women, doesn't matter. He just wants to take photographs. And a young woman says, sure, you can take my photograph. And they start talking and they get along. It's very nice. Her name is Ellen Hover.
Ellen was strikingly beautiful. She had long dark hair and long slender arms and legs and carried herself like a dancer.
Her father was the owner of Ciro's in Hollywood, a well-known nightclub where Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin and other people appeared.
Ellen was very trusting of other people. She came from a Hollywood family, grew up in Beverly Hills, and then Great Neck, and then Manhattan. Ellen loved people.
On July 13th and 14th was the famous New York City blackout.
This is an ABC News special report.
New York City went totally dark last night, and tonight large parts of the city still are without power.
It's lawlessness. People loot, crime goes through the roof. You know, people are afraid.
There's no refrigeration, no water, no lights on one of the hottest, steamiest nights of the year in New York City.
It was a very unsettling, hard time for most people.
On July 15th, Ellen Hover goes missing.
That evening, friends tried to get in touch with Ellen. Nobody could.
The phone rang. It was Ellen's mother, Yvonne Schwartz. Mrs. Schwartz asked me if I had heard from Ellen since the weekend, and I said no. The next thing I knew, I was watching the 11 o'clock news, and there was Ellen's picture, New York heiress missing.
And the next day, when the police showed up at her door, they looked inside and they found on her calendar there was an entry that said she was meeting John Berger.
New York City went totally dark last night, and tonight large parts of the city still are without power.
Ellen Hover's disappearance was a huge mystery. This was a very big deal. That this socialite, this young woman, was just gone, missing.
There was nothing in her background that suggested that she would have run away.
It's in the New York Times. It's on posters. It's on the news. It's the talk of the town.
When the police showed up at her door, they looked inside.
Nothing looks like an attack happened there, but they collect evidence and mail, notes, things like that. And one of the things they take is her calendar.
And there was an entry that said she was meeting John Berger.
They research back, and they try to ID who John Berger is.
You're talking about a woman who goes missing in New York City pre-computer. And so Rodney Alcala / John Berger was never really on the radar of the New York City Police Department.
So Alcala goes back to LA, and he's there actually trying to find a job.
Rodney Alcala gets a job with the Los Angeles Times working as a typesetter.
You have to put this into perspective. On the lam for 3 years, 10 most wanted, 2 stints in jail, felon. He applies under his own name, Rodney Alcala, and he gets the job.
He actually would bring in photographs to show some of the people at his work. A lot of the photos were of nude girls. And I think it was like the time when people didn't really question it. You weren't like, oh my God, you're a pedophile. Like instead they were like, oh, he's just kind of strange. You know, he's very artsy.
So 5 months after Alcala is returned to LA, the FBI is actually able to connect the dots between Rodney Alcala, the name John Berger, and the notes found in Ellen Hover's calendar. So Rodney Alcala was eventually questioned by the FBI in relation to the disappearance of Ellen Hover, and he admitted being with her.
Where did you meet Ellen on the 15th?
He said he had taken her up to Westchester to take a picture. They had a lovely time, and that was it. Never saw her again.
I think you call like dropping her off. That was it.
At that point, they still had not found a body.
Other than him admitting to the crime, saying, I killed her, there wasn't enough to arrest him.
This is Bill McCreary in North Tarrytown with a story about the discovery of the body of a millionaire's daughter missing for the past 11 months.
Ultimately, she's found. It's almost a year later. She's found up in an area by the Rockefeller estate.
They found clothing of hers nearby. They went back to the same site, and they discovered her remains.
But it's all skeletal. She's identified through a dental comparison.
Well, police are able to positively identify the remains of Ellen Hover. There is no forensic evidence that leads them to her killer.
1970s was considered a serial killer central.
You have the Hillside Strangler, the Night Stalker, 2 freeway killers. You have the Bedroom Basher. Elsewhere, you have Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy killing people in Chicago.
Recently, there's been a rash of mass murders.
1977 through 1978, many women were murdered.
Police in this era are lacking a lot of the investigative tools they have today. There's no DNA, there's no surveillance camera around every corner. People aren't walking around with a GPS in their pocket.
All of these things lead to this sort of perfect storm for Rodney Alcala, where he's able to remain one step ahead of police, and he goes on the hunt for more victims, and there's absolutely nothing to stop him.
Jill Barkham was a 19-year-old girl in New York who was adventuresome.
and wanted to take a trip with a friend of hers. And so she left New York for Los Angeles.
Jill and I were very close as children growing up. We were often mistaken as twins. Jill had a very free spirit about her.
Bruce was very sad when she left New York, was very scared for her, being so young at 19 years old.
So November 10th, 1977, I called home and there was crying in the background. They said, you need to come home. You need to come home. And that's all they would say.
Jill Barcombe was found off of Franklin Canyon Road, and it was down the street from Marlon Brando's home at the time. She was found bent over, half naked. Her head was facing the dirt.
She has multiple ligatures on her neck. It was a brutal crime scene. I came into a house of siblings, distraught, righteously so, and heard it from my mother directly that my sister was dead.
Her face was unrecognizable. Her brother said at the funeral that he couldn't even recognize his sister. It was so mutilated.
I had night terrors the day that Jill's body arrived. It wasn't just murder, it wasn't just rape, it was brutal, it was sadistic. And nobody could understand why the things happened to her.
They thought perhaps this could be the work of the Hillside Strangler because that's what the Hillside Strangler did. He strangled women and left them on the side of the road.
And it complicated this investigation because Jill Barcombe had a friend when she got out to LA that was actually abducted and murdered by the Hillside Strangler.
In the end, the police were unable to link the murder of Jill Barcombe to the Hillside Strangler, and the case just went cold. That meant the string of murders of young girls and women continued.
Georgia Wickstead was 27 years old. She was absolutely gorgeous. She was a nurse that worked for cardiac care.
She was from Los Angeles. She worked out of the Centinela Hospital and just recently moved to Malibu.
Every morning she would pick up another nurse and they would drive to the hospital together to do their shift. And one morning she didn't show up.
So the police were called to do a welfare check of her in her home. It was discovered that her window was open and the screen was removed. When the police entered her home, there was blood everywhere. Her body was completely naked and strewn on the floor, kind of posed open.
The viciousness and the sadism involved in her murder is so disturbing and so profound.
There was a handprint that was found on the brass bedding, but there was no one to match the palm print to. And again, that case went cold.
And the third person who was found dead in the same way as the other two was Charlotte Lamb.
Charlotte Lamb, in 1978, was a legal secretary living in the Santa Monica area. She had called some friends one night to go out and go dancing in Santa Monica. Her friends decided not to go. Her body was later found in El Segundo, miles away, in an apartment complex she had no connection to.
She had been strangled and she'd been brutally raped and murdered. Her arms had been folded behind her back, which made her back arch to expose her breasts. She'd been posed. It's just very disturbing and incredibly sad.
I met with Rodney 5 or 6 times. I administered assessments with regard to his sexual interests. Many times the rapist, killer, antisocial person will pose dead bodies, and they do want law enforcement and other people to see this, and there's a message in that. The message for Rodney is that I am here, you will remember me.
So instead of hiding in the shadows, Rodney Alcala is almost fearless, and he puts himself out there in perhaps the most public way possible.
Rodney going on the dating game is a great example of him being predatory, him being confident, narcissistic, and of course he wouldn't go on unless he would win. And 5, 4, 3. He always wins.
Bachelor number one is a successful photographer. He might find him skydiving or motorcycling. Please welcome Rodney Alcala. Please welcome Rodney Alcala.
Bachelor number one,
Yes.
what's your best time?
Night times when it really gets good.
In retrospect, it has got to be one of the creepiest moments on TV.
He says, I always get my girl.
The so-called dating game killer is one of the country's most notorious criminals.
They told us that they had found Robin. It was devastating.
There's nothing that hurts like that. Nothing.
Her plan was to shoot Alcala. She wanted to avenge her daughter.
He was a sadistic killer who deserved death.
Model prisoner, they said, and he was out on the streets again.
A pattern of catch and release that would continue for more than a decade.
All these pictures that the police had from a serial killer. His victims are still out there.
So tries out for Chuck Berry Productions and becomes a bachelor for the dating game.
He was very striking. I don't know, there was a boldness about him, and he had long black hair. He was just a striking looking person.
In terms of putting him on as a contestant, I think on the form I wrote NW, which was my symbol for no way, no darn way, is this guy gonna be on the show? Because I noticed that he had a very strange personality.
It's like, are you kidding? He's so attractive. Everyone's gonna love him. All the women are gonna love him.
And I said, all right, we'll put him on a show, but we've got to surround him with two guys that have personalities and that are respectable and decent and fun.
My name is Jed Mills. When I got the job on the dating game, they said, you're going to be bachelor number 2, so you'll be sitting in the center. Bachelor number 1 was a little creepy. I noticed that right away. In the green room, he jumps in, he says, I always get my girl.
Number 1, would you say hello to Cheryl, please? We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl.
Immediately did not like this guy.
And here we go.
Bachelor number one,
Yes.
what's your best time?
One of our edicts was to make the show much sexier and much more provocative than the show in the 60s. Everything was sexy in the 70s. So we pushed the envelope.
The best time is at night. Night times when it really gets good.
The sexual innuendo intrigued the audience. They loved it, and they started clapping. Yeah, they loved this guy.
Oddly enough, 42 years later, I still remember Cheryl Bradshaw. She did voices.
And she says, suppose I was auditioning you for a private class, and you're a dirty old man.
You're a dirty old man. Take it.
Come on, over here.
In retrospect, it has got to be one of the creepiest moments on TV.
The audience is beside themselves. They love this.
Cheryl Bradshaw asked about what kind of food he would be if she was going to serve him for dinner.
I'm called the banana, and I look really good.
Can you be a little more descriptive?
Peel me.
In retrospect, it sounds horrible, but at the time, we were looking for raunchy, sexy answers, and that was one. Taken in context now, oh my God.
Rodney's motives for going on the dating game are, in my opinion, part of his personality disorder. He wants a lot of attention and he believes he should have it. He's quite bright and he wants the world to know who he is.
When it became time for the Bachelorette to choose number 1, number 2, or number 3, she said,
Well, I like bananas, so I'll take one.
Number one. That's your number one. All right. This is your date to Rodney Alcala. Rodney, come on and say hello.
She seemed very excited about seeing him. And when he came around, I would say it was a pretty lukewarm togetherness.
She called the office the next day and spoke to Ellen.
She said, Ellen, I can't go out with this guy. There's weird vibes that are coming off of him. He's very strange. I am not comfortable. Is that going to be a problem? And of course I said no.
I would be very interested in knowing what happened in the days after when the person who chose him would not date him.
Jill Parenteau was a 21-year-old college student and data entry worker. She lived in an apartment by herself.
On June 13th, she went to a Dodger game and came home and was never heard from again.
The next day, she never showed up at work.
When law enforcement entered her home, she was found in her bedroom. Her body was lying next to the bed, very similar to Charlotte Lamb's, where she was laid on her back, fully naked. She had a pillow up behind her back that propped her breasts up.
So this is, again, another avoidable set of killings by this guy that should have stayed in prison. But he didn't even break stride on the continued crimes that he kept committing.
My mom's plan was to shoot Alcala.
In those days, they didn't have metal detectors, or they didn't use them, so she got into the courtroom.
She really didn't care about anything else at that point. She wanted to avenge her daughter.
In 1979, Rodney was living at his mother's house, where he had a separate entrance, and perhaps he lived there because he didn't have to pay any rent.
He had taken a lot of nude photos, and he would send these photos to New York and get paid for them. They would go into pornography magazines. That's what he did.
Not only was Rodney on the lam for 3 years, 10 most wanted, 34 months in prison for Tally, 2.5 years in prison for a felony of giving drugs to a minor. He's out. He's free. He's on the prowl again.
On June 20th, 1979, Rodney Alcala leaves his mother's house and drives to Huntington Beach. And he starts in a place called Sunset Beach, which is a little bit north on Pacific Coast Highway, and he runs into a 17-year-old girl on roller skates named Lori Wirtz.
I was with my friend Patty, and we decided to go to Sunset Beach. We were approached by Alcala.
And he says, I'm a photographer, and hey, if you could just, skate this way, I'll take some photos.
And I said, oh, that's okay, I'll just help him out.
And there's a series of these photographs that are taken by Rodney Alcala. He was a formally trained photographer, which really played into his method of luring these women and young girls into vulnerable positions.
It's my opinion with regard to Rodney that deviant behavior is always preceded by deviant fantasy. The taking the pictures, going around looking for little girls, sizing people up.
Is a part of the constellation of the Rodney Alcala killing machine. The encounter with Lori Wirtz is very important for two different reasons. Number one, it shows that he's actually down in Huntington Beach that day, which he later denies. And it also shows that he's actively hunting for his next victim.
He was asking me all kinds of questions, like where I'm from, my name, my age. He tried really hard to get me in the car. He tried to get me in the car and leave my friend on the beach.
She doesn't bite, won't get in his car.
He started to drive away, and I did see that he was driving toward Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach in 1979 in June was chock full of kids and sunbathers and rollerbladers and people walking on the boardwalks and just having fun.
The vibe in Huntington Beach back in the 70s was pretty easygoing. You felt safe.
Robin Samso was a 12-year-old, blonde, blue-eyed poster child for athleticism and healthy lifestyle.
I'm Robin's oldest sister. We are 2 of 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
Robin was the baby of the family. Her brothers, sisters, and mother all doted over Robin.
She always had a spirit about her. I mean, everybody that met her fell in love with her.
Rodney Alcala winds up on the beach talking to Bridget Wilbert and Robin Samso.
When Robin and I crossed 14th Street is when I believe he spotted us.
And what he's doing is he's saying, hey, I'm a photographer, you're beautiful, you could be a model, how about you let me take pictures?
And I was having none of it. I was like, no, no. And he reached out and put his hand on Robin's leg. And that's when I grabbed her. I said, like, no, this isn't good.
So one of the moms comes over and is like, who are you? Why are you talking to him? And he scurries off like a cockroach.
Robin had to be at a dance class at 4 o'clock, so she and Bridget went back to Bridget's house.
It was time for Robin to be going because she needed to be in the ballet studio to answer phones. That was how she paid for her ballet. Robin was ready. That is him.
It's Rodney Alcala. I mean, you look at that and it's Rodney Alcala.
Approximately 12 days after Robin went missing, a park ranger in the Sierra Madres at a location called Chantry Flats located some human remains.
But she's been scavenged. And what that means is animals have eaten her.
During their search of the area, they also found a shoe that was identified as belonging to Robin and a beach towel.
And that's how they found this beautiful 12-year-old girl.
I remember I was laying on the couch and the doorbell rang. And I answered the door, and it was the police. They came in and they told us that they had found Robin. And my mom broke down, as well as everybody else, my brothers and I. It was devastating.
Her mother, wanted to see her daughter's body, and they had to explain to her that there is no body. There's a skull and there's bones.
My mom she was never the same. It's like her life just had this big empty hole and everybody else was just on the outside looking in.
They arrest Rodney Alcala at his mother's house in Monterey Park.
After that, they obtained a search warrant for his mother's residence where he was living.
They get inside Rodney Alcala's residence and they see a receipt for a self-storage facility in the city of Seattle. So in really good heads-up police work. Paperwork is not a part of the search warrant, so they cannot collect it. But it's in plain sight, so they write down the information.
One of his sisters went to visit Alcala in jail, and they started talking about the storage locker.
And Rodney Alcala is overheard saying words to the effect of, well, it's good that they don't know about the storage locker.
The cops actually overheard the conversation.
And they get inside and they find a treasure trove of evidence. I mean, it breaks the case. They arrest Rodney Alcala, they bring him to Huntington Beach, and they interview him.
Can you show Robin?
After the police interview him, he's very savvy and he gives up very little information and he essentially denies all wrongdoing. They get up to this storage locker in the city of Seattle.
They find thousands of pictures of young people, older people, all kinds of people in compromised positions.
They also find various forms of jewelry, a bunch of different earrings and little keepsakes. Those are trophies.
For Rodney, it's his vehicle for power and control. That's why he keeps things.
I remember them asking my mom to the police department to come and identify some things that they found at a locker in Washington.
Two of the earrings found were gold ball earrings. Robin was described as wearing those earrings on the day that she disappeared.
In 1980, Rodney Alcala was tried for the murder of Robin Samsoe.
One of the stories that Marianne Connolly, Robin's mom, told was that during the 1980 case, she actually showed up with a gun.
Her plan was to shoot Alcala. She really didn't care about anything else at that point. She wanted to avenge her daughter.
In those days, they didn't have metal detectors, or they didn't use them, so she got into the courtroom.
I remember she was very calm. She just kept saying, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
The trial began, and she had her hand on her purse, and she was ready to kill the man who had murdered her daughter.
I do remember her telling me that she heard Robin's voice and told her not to do it. So she had changed her mind.
On May 8th, 1980, the jury on the Robin Samsoe case deliberated less than 5 hours.
Rodney Alcala was convicted and sentenced to death. He was taken to San Quentin, where he was put on death row. Several years later, an appeal came up. And to everyone's shock and sorrow and horror, the case was repealed.
The verdict was overturned by the California Supreme Court because the justices determined that the jurors in the trial had been improperly informed of Alcala's prior sex crimes.
I think that there's been a gross miscarriage of justice for being found guilty of something that I didn't do.
In 1984, we learned that Alcala was getting a new trial. Once again, my mother was completely destroyed.
Just can't believe that we have to be punished for what he did. And that's really what it amounts to. We're the ones that are being punished. It means nothing to him.
In the 1986 retrial of Rodney Alcala, a new prosecutor was assigned. He was very confident in his ability to be able to get a conviction on that. 7 years to the day of Robin Samsoe's disappearance, the second jury convicted Rodney Alcala and also recommended that he be sentenced to die.
The second time he was found guilty, and he got the death penalty again, and we were extremely happy.
One would think that's the end. He's now going to spend the rest of his life on death row until he gets executed. Well, that wasn't the case. In 2001, Rodney's death penalty was again overturned.
At this point, it's important to remember that Rodney Alcala has been in custody ever since being accused of murdering Robin Samsoe in '79. He's now 58 years old, and life behind bars has taken its toll, not only on Rodney Alcala, but also on the victims' families who've been trying to achieve justice.
Twice Alcala has been convicted and sentenced to death. Twice the convictions were reversed on appeal.
The main reason was an ineffective assistance of counsel claim, meaning that Rodney's attorney had not put forth a strong enough defense on his behalf.
My mom really kind of lost it then.
Every time this happens, it's like losing Robin all over again. I don't know if you've ever lost a child, but there's nothing that hurts like that. Nothing.
Amazingly, at this point, Rodney Alcala has escaped the death penalty 2 times, and now these victims and these families are going to be turning to me and my team to ensure that he's punished for this once and for all. This case was assigned to me back in 2003 when my boss came in and essentially gave me the rundown on it, said that it was going to be a tough one.
That's when Matt Murphy decided to go back to the evidence. And he had that pouch of jewelry that was recovered in the Seattle storage locker reanalyzed for DNA.
Which meant that Rodney's DNA could be put up against the DNA that had been taken decades earlier from the people whom we all believed he had murdered. The DNA matched Charlotte Lamb, Jill Parento, Georgia Wickstead, and Jill Barkham.
At that point, Rodney Alcala is clearly now known as a serial killer.
When you get a case like this, the first thing you do is you meet with the family members, and it really drives you. And they say you see the reflection of your victim in the eyes of the people who love them.
I forget a lot of things, except the most important thing I can't forget, and that's her and how she died.
I was the same exact age as Robin Samsoe. We were both 12 years old in 1979, and you connect with your victim.
Matt Murphy was a young, talented, brilliant prosecutor, and the Alcala case would be his 107th homicide.
And now we're going to be in one of my courts in front of one of my judges, and I was going to do everything I could to make sure that he faced justice for what he did.
The third death penalty trial was set for 2010.
Matt Murphy and I ended up being co-counsel on the case once we brought our LA cases down to Orange County.
So we had all these really good professionals that came together.
I came to know Rodney Alcala by being on the Orange County panel of expert witnesses. I met with Rodney. We met a total of 18 hours over a number of days.
And this third time around, 66-year-old Rodney Alcala decides he'll represent himself.
He is a narcissist. He has a genius IQ measured by some. So he's very brilliant and thinks that translates into being able to be a good lawyer for himself in the case.
Alcala's choice to represent himself was a message to Mr. Murphy that he is equal to him. Mr. Alcala's perceptions about his own superiority should never, ever be underestimated.
She'd been gagged with a t-shirt shoved down her mouth. I wanted the jury to see the level of violence because one of the things that we needed to prove was torture, so that we needed to prove he intended to inflict pain on these victims.
Alcala would strangle the women into unconsciousness, wait till they wake up, and then strangle them again. He knew exactly what he's doing, and he enjoyed what he was doing.
So these are the facts of the Samsoe case.
Because Rodney Alcala was representing himself, he got to cross-examine the witnesses, and then, of course, questioned Robin Samsoe's mom.
This is what they looked like.
He was questioning my mother about the earrings, trying to create doubt. Alcala tried to argue with my mother.
All the jury sees is the man who murdered this poor woman's daughter cross-examining her.
It was so hard watching her that I think the three of us just sat there and sobbed.
Robin Samsoe's day in court is today. You make sure that he is held responsible for what happened to that little girl.
Murphy in his closing arguments, I mean, they were fantastic.
He got her into his car, and he drove her up to those mountains. And Rodney Alcala smashed her face in when she was still alive. He brutalized her.
He was rattled after my closing argument, because that's when he first learned, he wasn't as smart as he thought he was.
The day the verdict was read, the courtroom was very still and very quiet.
We, the jury, further find and affix the degree thereof, murder in the first degree.
The verdict was guilty on all charges, across the board, all 5 murders. The evidence that we put in for the penalty phase of the trial focused largely on his prior sexual assaults of Tali Shapiro.
When Matt reached out to me in 2010, he was pretty adamant that he really needed me to come forth and help put Alcala away.
So now we've come full circle from 68 to 79. So bringing Tali Shapiro in as the one who lived, as the one who got away, is very important for a jury to see what a monster Rodney Alcala is.
I was there for the Samso family. I've never been the victim. I've always been the survivor.
If you decide that the death penalty is appropriate punishment, you shouldn't feel too good about it.
After hearing all the evidence, the jury went back to deliberate one more time, and they came back with a verdict in a little less than 2 hours.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, determine that the penalty to be imposed upon defendant Rodney James Alcala to be death.
I feel like Robin's life meant something, even in 12 years. She stopped him from killing anybody else. And I believe that if you would have told her that God was going to use her for this purpose, she would have been okay with it.
I just pray that I live long enough to watch him be executed. I only wish that I could be the one to administrate the injection.
In 2019, the state of California placed a moratorium on the death penalty. So that meant that all prisoners on death row, and this included Rodney Alcala, received a stay of execution. This did mean, though, that Robin Samso's mother would not see Rodney Alcala executed.
July 23rd, 2019, my mom passed away. She wanted to see that day that Alcala leaves this earth, that he just does not breathe anymore. And it's unfair. It's unfair. Somebody so cruel and evil.
Cold case investigators tonight saying they have solved 2 of New York City's most notorious murders.
New York had been investigating cases involving Rodney Alcala, a murder in 1971 and a murder in 1977.
Although Alcala is already on death row in California, he will be extradited here to go on trial for killing the 2 New York women.
They decided to charge Rodney with the 2 New York murders.
He conceded that he did kill the 2 women in question.
I was surprised that he pled guilty. I think ultimately he knew he was going to be convicted.
Mr. Alcala got 25 years to life, which is the highest sentence under the law.
After the trial, the Huntington Beach Police Department released hundreds of the photos that they found in that Seattle locker to the general public. Police don't know if any of the people in these pictures were victims of Alcala, but hope the public might be able to help identify them.
After the Huntington Beach Police Department released those photographs, the decades-old mystery of Christine Thornton was about to come full circle.
My son sent this email to me with all these pictures in it that the police had from a serial killer. That was her. That was definitely her. I think, you know, having Christine being gone for so long, it was difficult because, you know, we all knew that something bad had happened to her.
For nearly 40 years, Christine Thornton's family assumed she was dead. She just vanished out of their lives.
In '82, this herder out in the middle of nowhere comes across a pile of bones, obviously human remains.
Several initial deputies responded along with detectives, and what they found was it was a body of a 25 to 35-year-old female.
They also found the bones of an unborn child mixed in, largely all intact. The clothing was still there. Even some jewelry were all located.
They couldn't determine a cause of death. What they believed was that it was possibly a strangulation because one of the pant legs was tied in a ligature.
The detectives at that time they used the skull and sent it off to the crime lab in order to get a reconstruction of what they felt this person looked like. They determined that it was a young female and brunette.
They unfortunately weren't able to identify her, and the case went cold. In 2013, several of the detectives, including myself, were assigned specific cold cases. So this box was almost falling apart when I initially was assigned this case. There was still bone fragment and skin tissue saved at the crime lab after all those years.
If you have DNA, you run it. And then you try to find out by sending it down through CODIS and missing persons to find out if you can get a match.
CODIS refers to the Combined DNA Index System. It was created in 1998. DNA is entered into a national database, and this helps the authorities find missing people and also solve crimes.
I was basically told it was now a waiting game. I honestly thought I'd be 10, 20 years retired before I'd get a phone call saying that they'd identified her.
So in 2013, my son sent an email to me knowing that he had an aunt that he had never met. He knew the story that she went missing, and he came across this article with all these pictures in it that the police had from a serial killer.
Her son found the website that had all the pictures that they found in Alcala's locker up in Seattle.
She looked through all these photographs and kept stopping at that one photograph of beautiful brunette seated on the back of a motorcycle.
And I'm like, I think that's Chris. And sure enough, I looked at her little pinky toe, which I remember. It just was very distinctive. It curled up on her other toes, and I kind of knew that was her. That was definitely her.
At that point is when she decided to submit her DNA sample as a reference to hopefully identify Christine.
Detective Sheeman came to my office to tell me that they had a match and an identification.
Just shy of 2 years later is when I was off duty and I decided to check my email. The email I received identified my victim from Granger as Christine Ruth Thornton. So this is a copy of the photo that was found in Rodney Alcala's possession. Trying to match this photo out in the Granger Prairie seems almost impossible.
I thought we had enough evidence to possibly charge him, but before we did that, I wanted to speak with him.
I've done hundreds and hundreds of interviews in my career, but I told myself, how the hell do you interview a serial killer?
Murders of Robin Samsoe and the other women. He's 73 years old and his health is failing. He's confined to a bed at Corcoran State Prison, and that's where Wyoming officials come to confront him for the murder of Christine Thornton.
As we got in there, it was...
What do you mean by part of your area?
I couldn't believe it. It's almost like it's his killing field. We also showed Rodney Alcala the picture of Christine seated on the back of his motorcycle, and it gives me chills even today to remember his reaction.
Talk to me about the picture. What picture? The picture that you're pointing at. What's on your mind? Talk to me. Rod, talk to me. Tell me about that girl.
He took his finger and he started tracing her body on the photograph. And then he started tapping on the photograph, and kept doing that for a couple more minutes.
That's a guy who wants to relive it again. It empowers him, right? He would relive that.
You could see his eyes moving in his eyelids, almost like he had relived that moment, that entire moment, for however long it lasted with Christine out in the desert.
Do you know her? Yes or no?
Yes.
You remember taking this picture?
Yes.
Okay. Now the question is, Mr. Alcala, how did she end up dead? Did you kill her? Yes or no, sir?
When it comes to the big question, he's not going to give it to you. But we got him to admit that he was there. And we got him to admit that he knew Christine. And that's all we needed.
So Rodney Alcala was eventually charged with first-degree murder in Sweetwater County, Wyoming.
They informed me that he was not able to travel without great expense. And so I made the decision that I was not going to try to bring Alcala back to stand trial in Wyoming.
Best place for Rodney Alcala is exactly where we left him. Seeing that jail cell and that setup that he's in, he's where he needs to be.
It was disappointing that we weren't going to get a conviction on her murder, but the good thing about all of this is that this man has been brought to light as being a serial killer. His victims are still out there.
Over the years, Rodney Alcala was given multiple opportunities to disclose those victims, whether part of plea deals, to avoid the death penalty, but he continuously refused to give up that information.
He has memories that he has kept secret from everyone.
That power gives him gratification, and him having the information on victims and us not knowing it, that's something he wants to take to his grave.
And that is exactly what he did. Rodney Alcala, aka the dating game killer, died in prison 2 years ago, never giving up those secrets. That is our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm David Muir, and from all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.